jogo mais assim retardado.
No jogo de hoje a gente vai jogar no mesmo estilo de jogo para garantir o top 1. A gente quer o top 5, mas a gente quer o top 1, ficar em primeiro lugar, vai ser muito gratificante pra gente. Então a gente não vai evitar de trocar tiros, se a gente tiver que matar, a gente vai matar. E espero vocês aí na busca do top 1.
So for them, of course, like they'll play like the same game, but even for him, it's like they'll be like more aggressive today, because of course they want to be in top 5, but they want to finish like today like as the top 1 team.
Wow, they're not stopping at number 2. That sounds very, very positive coming from Team A7. Now, last question right here. Now, if the teams are hearing this, anything you want to say to all the other 15 teams competing here at the Last Stand qualifiers for PMGC?
Então, como uma última pergunta ali, tipo, quer dizer, qual é a mensagem que você quer enviar para os 15 outros times que estão aqui jogando o PMGC?
A mensagem que eu queria enviar é que para eles tomar cuidado com a gente está muito confiante. A gente vem treinado bastante, estudado bastante eles. E hoje a gente vai mostrar para eles tomar cuidado com a gente está muito confiante. A gente vem treinado bastante, estudado bastante eles. E hoje a gente vai mostrar para tomar cuidado com a gente está muito confiante. A gente vem treinado bastante, estudado bastante eles. E hoje a gente vai mostrar para tomar cuidado.
Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. A7 is coming for you. Thank you so much, Mafioso, for that amazing interview. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kickstart match number 1 in a few short moments. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this. But of course, with the host and analyst, and we'll see you guys in a bit. Take care, guys.
It is the final day of action here. PUBG Mobile Global Championship 2022 last chance stage. At the end of our next 6 matches, only 5 teams will join the rest before we qualify through into the biggest event of the year, kicking off in January. A lot of money on the line, a lot of pride on the line, and of course the title of being the #1 team in the world. I'm your host, Jason Kaplan, and we have the Cutie Boys next to me, Maxman and Sandstorm, to break everything down that's been happening yesterday, which was an extremely exciting day, and of course it's coming up today. Cutie number 1, that's you, Maxman. How's things going to be going for you?
I thought we were going to lean to us today, but no, I'm feeling fantastic, Jason. I'm feeling amazing. And, you know, good day yesterday. I would also have to say unexpected day yesterday, because the teams that are at the top, I did not expect to be at the top. Like, all the favorites, a lot of the favorites are still in the middle, some are even at the bottom. So, I mean, who knows who's going to be the top 5? I have no clue. It's going to be up in the air.
It really is. It really is going to be up in the air, and especially with the, I don't know, I guess there's a lot of pressure on the last teams currently representing their regions going into the tournament as well. So looking towards Enigma Galaxy, the last Arabian, the Titan as well, the last African representative, Damwon Kia, the last Korean representative or South Korean representative. So a lot of pressure on these teams, and only 6 chances to prove themselves now.
Yeah, 6 chances, and that's pretty much happening with what, or it's a culmination of what happened yesterday in the positions they set themselves in. But you know what, you at home, and they need your support. The fan vote is going to be ending today in just a few hours of time, so make sure you're watching within the eSports Center. Use those tokens to vote for your favorite teams. I believe S2G was still #1 last time I checked. We might have a change happening over the course of today. Maybe D or S Max can get on the board.
Chance for them. I put my vote in. No, I'm not gonna lie, I put it in for Game Lord, because you know I could have given a little bit of hope that to my home team eventually, right? But yeah,
oh, now they're your home team when they're doing all right.
Hey! I always hope, okay, but my expectations were a little bit all over the place, okay? But I am Team Narvalo today.
Well, you know where my fan vote went, Maxman?
Who? Tell me.
I went over to Sony Xperia, because Sony Xperia, one good Xperia Streams, made a collaboration with professional esports players, and you can play PUBG Mobile in 90 Hz with Xperia Streams total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. That's where my vote goes. Sandstorm, where did your vote go?
My vote went for Maxman because he's an amazing analyst and he's dressed very nice today. I'm here to counteract some of Jason today.
Had a really cool transition
John,
made.
can we get one of them in here for Sandstorm? Also, a big shout out here to Pullman Kuala Lumpur Bangstar Hotel, where our world is your playground, while the players are getting to stay at and getting to chill and relax at. And by chill and relax, I mean none of that, because they're sitting there intensely reviewing all the VODs from yesterday and trying to prepare for what's on the line today. And one way they can do that by preparing for Prime Gaming. Get some exclusive in-game free PUBG Mobile items, premium content, of course the other benefits of Prime Gaming as well. But as we move forward here, Max, I'm a little bit worried for some of these teams, to be perfectly honest. I know they say this quite a lot, but for me is the fact they don't have any of the Maserati skins just yet, which is going to be available until the 31st of December here, which you can get while playing in-game. I don't know, I mean that's pretty
Maalesef
sweet car.
iki takımımızın
Looks pretty
kaderleri
damn
birazcık
good, and you
farklı
know what, if
oldu.
anything,
İlk günden
it's guaranteed
itibaren
to make you top
S2G
five
sürekli
I
olarak
was told
zirveyi
officially
kovalarken
that if you do have the
Fireflux için
Maserati
işler
skin
iyi
in-game, you'll get
gitmemişti.
official extra
Üçüncü
style
gün
points,
geldiğinde
okay, added
S2G
to the mix.
güzel
So
maçlar
I wanna see if
geçirdi
you
ve
can get some
şampiyonluğu
extra style
Türkiye'ye getirmeyi başardı.
And as we
Bu
know, style
Türkiye
points is the
e-spor tarihindeki
tiebreaker
en
between
unutulmaz
after
başarıydı.
chicken dinners, placement points,
This year, the EU region has
eliminations,
continuously
how
produced
big your
even
roster
more
is,
strong
who's the
teams.
tallest team,
First of all,
who
G
beats the
Gladiators
most
won
Europees,
first place
stuff
in the
like that.
2023
But you guys
PUBG Mobile
should be
Pro League
following
Spring
us on
Regional
social
Championships
media,
and third
on the
place in
official
the 2023
sports
PMWI.
channels. But here we
Veteran
go.
teams
These are the
like
teams that
Nextria,
participated.
Takena
Missed out
Power
on
have
yesterday.
been
Well, you missed
performing
out
better and
honestly
better
on a
this year
crazy day
and
of action
successfully
with a lot of
qualified for the
unexpected
2023
twists and
PMGC.
turns.
Subsequently, hot
see a
recent
couple of
teams like
teams, I mean, this
Maggles,
is
BRA
maybe the highest we'll
Esports,
see
Major
some of the
Pride,
teams, like
Elise
LGD, for
Esports,
instance, in the
Demorte,
second place
among
here.
others
Not
from
looking
EU,
too hot when
have
it comes
also
to the
successfully
overall
gotten a spot in
Super
PMGC.
interesting, really. I think that
They all look forward to
Sandstorm, as I
continuing the
already said
success
earlier,
of
I
the EU
think
region in
PS first day came very
2023.
unexpectedly for a
There
lot
are
of the
many
teams that aren't
questions
currently
surrounding
at the top. Like, we'll look at the
PMGC. Will
leaderboards
S2G
later on, but
successfully defend their
DRS
championship?
have been able
Will
to
another EU
absolutely
team lift the
dominate
trophy? Could it
in
even be a
yesterday's
team
matches
unexpected to
and are
win
just
it all?
looking hyper-aggressive,
Let's
and it's
witness
been
it together
paying off
in
so
turn.
well. And well, Navarro, he's just a team on his own. He just keeps on surviving. It's insane.
He really does, yeah. I mean, look, in the first game yesterday, he managed to get 6th with 3 eliminations for his team. And again, he managed to repeat the performance in game 4. He managed to secure 3rd with 13 eliminations. He had, I think, 4 or 5 for himself in that one game. So consistently, we're seeing him be the last person alive for his team.
Join the
And the fact that he's
investigator team
securing
and
10
let's
points, I'm
protect the
pretty sure
game's
that there's
fairness
more that he's
together.
going to be able to get today. But very good performance and a very good start for them on day 1.
Well, we have to clarify as well, those are points
Popularity
they've gotten
Annual Gala
as the
event tutorial.
only player
Hey there,
remaining for their
welcome to the
team.
2023
So pretty much
Popularity
Navarro
Annual
got
Gala.
a fifth of
We've
their
introduced a
points
brand new
in
competition and
total
upgraded
by
rewards.
himself
You will have to go
alone,
through
which is
10 rounds of
obviously
1v1
insane
matches
by
and compete
itself.
to become the
But as we look
first ever
forward into
PUBG
our
Mobile
top
Popularity
smoke
Annual
users,
Gala champion.
Kind of makes sense.
So,
I mean,
let's
Max,
get right to
we've
it.
seen like walls of smoke.
New
We've seen
competition, ladder
them
competition.
utilized in so many
The
different
Popularity
ways. Yesterday
Annual
in
Gala
particular, I
event
feel
will be
like
utilizing
we've
a
seen
new
them
ladder
at some
promotion
point
system.
because the amount of smokes we had
Players'
down.
initial ladder
But I
grade will be
see
determined by their battle points at the end of the first round.
I
Ladders are
think what
divided into
ICF
6
done
grades.
really well
Triple
throughout
S,
all of
double
this
S,
tournament so far is that they're really good
A,
at using
B,
smoke
and
to
C,
wall off fights.
with
Like, for
triple
example,
S
the
being
teams
the
on
highest.
2 of their sides, they're going to just
Ladder
smoke off
promotion
one of their
rules.
sides, make sure that one team
Players are
cannot
ranked
break
based on the
down
popularity
anymore,
they
and then
gain
they're
during
just
the
gonna
battle
put 100%
period.
focus
For
on the
rounds
teams
1 to
on the
9,
other
the
side
ladder
where
results are
they're
settled at the end
hide
of
their
every
vision.
round
And I think
battle.
that's what they did
Apart from ladder grade
extremely
C,
well on this
each
first
ladder
game
has
where they were
100
pushing, I
spots,
think it was
with the
on
top
Bacon's
20
side,
promoted, the
and
middle
also
60
negating
retained, and the
visibility
bottom
from
20
Alpha 7
demoted.
on the side.
If you're
Just
trying to
enabled
move up
them
the
to
ranks,
make
be
it a
sure to
second
stay
place,
within
but
your ladder's retained
then the
threshold or
DBS,
higher
no,
before each
off
round is
squad
settled.
happens, and I don't know
Additionally,
what you're
ladder grades
supposed
can
to
only
do
be
against
promoted
that,
or
but
demoted
not
by
much.
one
Well,
grade at
I mean,
time,
it's obvious,
so your
right?
performance in the assignment round is
The only way to
crucial.
beat a DBS
Be sure not to miss it.
use the DBS.
Final showdown.
Exactly. If you can't beat him,
Based on the
join him.
rankings
And
from the
that's what the
previous
server
9
has been
rounds,
doing so
round
far.
10 will be
After
the
seeing so
decisive
many
showdown to
fights
determine the
being
final rank and
decided
ladder
by
grade
that
placement,
DBS, like
including
we've
the
seen
champion of
yesterday
the
in the first game,
2023
Inko versus
Popularity Annual Gala,
LGD.
who
Just
will
that
emerge
sad
as
to
the
mention,
ultimate winner.
LGD didn't know
New
what hit
exclusive
him
rewards.
at that point. And I
At the
think
end
just
of
every
round
single
10,
team started to
rewards
pick it
will
up
be issued
bit
based on
by
the player's
bit. And I
ladder
love
grade
seeing
and
those
final
close
rank.
quarter
For
fights with the
outstanding players,
DBS. You
they
think
will
you have an
receive
Uzi?
exclusive
You think
rewards
you're
that can
gonna win?
showcase their
No,
superior
just
honor
get one
both in
hook,
and
that's
outside
it.
the game.
You're done. You're
In-game
dead.
rewards include the honor
So,
title,
let's see if
honor
we're
name
gonna
tag,
be
and
seeing the
honor
same
avatar
impact
frame,
from
which are
that
sure to make
again
you
on
stand
today's
out.
games, or
Moreover,
yeah,
there
our
are
team's gonna
also
be
physical trophies, interviews,
Isn't it
custom
DBS?
popularity
Okay, this
gifts,
was a weird one.
official social media promotion,
I
game
still,
exposure, and
I would
other
love to
exclusive
know what
honorable
was
rewards.
the shot
Gain
call of
global
that player.
renown
Like,
both
let's just
in
say
and
there's a
outside the
three-part
game.
in a
What are
compound
you
with no
waiting for?
smokes.
Participate in
Just
the
gets sprayed down by
2023
Mao Mao
Popularity
from
Annual
LG.
Gala
That
now.
Hopefully we're not going to see that again, but it was also pretty damn funny, and Titan, of course, did not lose that game. But the thing is, the DBS is also being used at mid to almost long range from time to time. Like, it is go really fast, so even at mid range, you're not safe. Yeah,
There you go.
There, right there. Perfect example.
I mean, you mentioned Titan Max, man. Really interesting to see as well. Like, if they end up qualifying somehow, because the curtain, as you can see, in 5th place, that sixth match of yesterday, I think, is going to be the real page turner, the one that everyone's going to look back on. Because Axer, unfortunately, couldn't play that last match. It was a 3-person team for Titan, and they ended up winning things and catapulting themselves into 5th place. That in itself is a great story, and hopefully Axer today is going to be able to help continue to build that momentum with this team. But DRS, Alpha 7, IHC, Ingo, and Titan, all are top 5 at the moment. But Maxman, Bigatron, 6th place. It's possible.
It's the hope is there. The hope is that, like, literally, if PTR qualify, I'm going to lose it. I will be so hyped to see them in the Grand Finals land event in Jakarta. It doesn't get any better than that. It will be the best BMGC and the best BMGC Grand Finals, Jason.
Sandstorm, Maxman did say off air yesterday when we were done with the show that if BTR qualify for Jakarta,
eyebrows,
he is shaving his eyebrows.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You know what? Now I really want to qualify and go like, straight up into first place. Looking right now at DRS and Inko, these two teams, I'm just going to brush right past that.
Kalau perbedaannya menurut kita sih dari segi
absolutely sensational. DRS for sure. Yesterday, by the way, was the best performance that we have seen from DRS in the PMGC. 81 total points, 32 eliminations. Not once have they been eliminated in the bottom parts of the leaderboard. Every single time they've been in the top 7, with 4 of those games in the top 4. They're doing exceptionally well, and not what I expected compared to the performance that we've seen before. So definitely going to be on the lookout for them in these games.
They just adapt with the situation and improvise from there.
So I guess that's the biggest challenge for them as well then. And now, based on yesterday's matches, are there any adjustments? Since today is your last day playing as well, you have to wait for tomorrow. Will there be any adjustment for your team to just make it for the next stage and get a better result?
Oke, jadi buat hari ini adalah hari terakhir buat Alter Ego sendiri. Apakah menurut kamu sendiri ada sesuatu lah yang kamu ngerasa bisa nggak kamu lolos ke survival stage nanti gitu? Kamu harus apa yang kamu harus lakuin buat kamu lolos ke survival stage?
Apa yang harus kita lakukan sih pastinya lebih ke mematangkan kesalahan kemarin. Jadi kita belajar banyak dari kesalahan kemarin. Kita benar-benar adjust lah untuk hari ini karena hari ini kita terakhir bermain dan grup green besok masih grup red dan yellow masih bermain.
Okay, so for me from Alter Ego, we want to do our best. We already touched up our mistake. We already learned from the past.
When you have such a short
of
tournament,
course,
only 2 days of play, that might just be enough to remain in that
and
top 5.
versus Red. But then Red is going to play tomorrow, so I think we're going to perform really well so that Red is not going to qualify easily to the last
I didn't even know you had him as a team to watch, so we know exactly why you're going with them.
Since you mentioned about your mistakes yesterday, and it's so hard to actually identify your mistake in a very short time.
And then
Can you stick out some of the mistakes that's quite major for you?
Also, I don't have to speak for the segment. I don't think so.
Several reasons. Besiktas, they managed to get themselves a chicken dinner yesterday, but 4 of their 6 games were in the bottom 4. So that chicken dinner did give you a chance to keep fighting and stay alive in this tournament, but other than that, it's going to be very difficult for them for the rest of the games. HVVP, we've seen them come back again, chicken dinner, huge improvement on their performance, but which HVVP are we going to be seeing? The one that drops outside of George gets a decent amount of points, like we've seen in days 1, 2, and 3 of the group stage, or are we going to be seeing the one where they drop on the west side of the base and just completely get
you don't
no
expect
points
these things going to happen.
And
yes, he's gonna.
Did I say more? I don't know what to say about these guys. I said they weren't going to get into top 5.
Unexpected
They
to be
already are.
happening on
I
the
believe they're
global
going to make
stage,
it.
definitely now. You mentioned about Sam9. Are they one of your greatest threat when it comes to this stage, or will there be somebody else so far?
Kamu ngomong Sam9 nih, kamu ngomong Sam9. Apakah Sam9 itu salah satu tim yang kamu ngerasa PR terbesar kamu ataupun ada tim-tim yang lain?
I was complimenting you like 2 minutes ago. You should be on my side, Max. What happened?
Karena emang kemarin iseng aja.
There is no sides here on the desk. It's everyone for themselves.
No.
Okay. So basically, it's not really Sam9 is our biggest threat, but then we just don't expect they're gonna play like that.
Yesterday and through the map
Okay, so we might have more surprises for today, by the way. With top points among the teams, and you still have a great chance to make it to the last chance stage.
Like a lot of the
What's
teams
your
that play
focus
Edge
to
are just
improve
so
your
quick.
rankings?
They really are. They see the circle, boom, everyone almost instantly in their cars playing Edge circle. HVVP, especially if they go for secondary drops, they're just a little bit slower to get in like the flow of things, and they just get gatekept so often. I think they had 3-4 games in a row yesterday where they just get gatekept, and they just could not get any strong position. I think if they just speed things up a little bit, they'll be there, because technically the entry points are good, just a bit slow. So if they speed things up, I think we can see the new HVP we wanted to see here.
fokus game per game.
Well, you know what? I mean,
okay, so basically we're gonna focus on each game. We're gonna focus on our first game first.
In the second day, it wouldn't be a PMGC in my eyes without HVVP there.
Game,
there's also a couple other teams. I mean, Sandstorm, we've got
just gonna do our best in every single map, so that
didn't expect that to happen considering what we've seen from them in the past. They have Galaxy in 13th place, Besiktas in 4th place, LGD in 11th, and even Reject Damwon 10th and 9th respectively. There's a lot of these big name teams and big players that we've seen just over the course of this event alone that just haven't been able to perform in that first day.
I mean, sometimes it can come down to there's a lot of pressure on the teams. It can come down to not having the international experience in these tournaments, and it can also come down to the fact that we have the best teams in the world, and there's bound to be some teams that are not going to be able to perform on that level, but sometimes we do get surprised with, for example, like you mentioned, LGD. They had a strong start in the group red, and then not being able to make it to the grand finals, struggled a little bit, but they performed very well in the survival stage, which is kind of what baffles me a little bit. Is this the group green effect whenever the teams from group green are there, LGD just
so obviously we heard in the interview there that, you know, Sem9 was one of their downfalls. Luckily for them,
I'm not going to answer that question, but you know what? Maybe our casters can answer that question, or just let the gameplay alone answer
yesterday,
it.
The issue for them in 4 games out of
kick
the 6
off our first
was
match here of the day. Our one of 6 remaining matches here in the last chance stage.
John Allen and Blink. You think, and the other water scenario on Erangel as well, that was
we are
not
over
required
the midway
whatsoever.
hump. We are going downhill. We will not be stopping. There are no breaks on this train, Blank.
You're too late. Try and play Edge instead. Again, another unnecessary risk. And then finally, Sem9 on Erangel being
they are 100%. I mean, there's not many places you can hang on. Some of these teams are on the outside of the train as well, so it's getting real windy out there, and there's a tunnel coming in. So they've got to duck their heads, make sure that they make their way through these last 6 matches. There are some teams that I worry about massively. I'm looking it down towards the bottom of the league, but Vampire has got 25 points making time. The 2 Thai teams joining one another arm in arm in the bottom of the leaderboard itself. I do think that a comeback can still be made, but it will be very difficult to make happen. LGD, on the other hand, known for that type of bounce-back nature. They're very elastic, very trampoline-like. We'll see if they can hit those numbers
There's another
today.
team out there we really have to focus our attention on. A team who had a special invite into
working out for them.
Stage.
But heading over to our first match of the day,
I don't know if I want to talk about them.
I'm making you talk about this.
I don't know. I want to talk about them. Gladiators we expect more, right? I still believe in the Gladiators cheese. They're going to cheese until the very end here, Jason. They're going to really qualify to the survival stage for the last half, should I say.
Yesterday,
just a few points, but I want to look onto other teams possibly because we've got also a big shift of groups, right? And one of the few teams that's been added to the mix today, I'm especially excited to see play, is going to be Enigma Galaxy. They played exceptionally well back in their group Red,
very hotly
contested
by
he was the second
quite a lot of teams. As you were saying before, Vampire Esports are making time. They will need that step up. But we've seen them
how they are able to take these fights now, how aggressive they are. I'm especially interested to see how they're going to fight for their spot in Pachinki on the round.
Looking at this playing path, it's very awkward.
How that really
honestly, down towards the south side doesn't give a lot of people an opportunity to get towards the northern edge of the map. So they're very big favourites for me here. It can be difficult for HVVP to get up towards North George. They're going to go to their second drop down towards Sosnovka.
South Korea,
yesterday we saw they had a much bigger improvement when they were able to get into those circles early on.
I mean, to be fair, they had a great start to their group initially.
A lot of times when they're playing on the northwestern edge anyway, it is a long haul down towards the eastern side of the map where we've seen a lot of these
constantly
circles
get
drop.
more days, more games on the board. Great assimilating information. All of their teams, all of the teams that qualified for PMGC.
So
I'm hoping for Duxan to
position.
Big
This circle
again
basically favours absolutely everybody. Anyone can get towards this spot.
I was going to say, well, that's great stuff to talk about, obviously, Big Galaxy and Duxan. But Max, I really want to hammer home about Gladiators
here. Which does make things a little bit harder for anyone towards
my attention actually are over towards potentially Eco Gaming, because obviously they've seen their brethren teams of Alpha 7, of Loops, of Influence Rage perform pretty well. I'm curious to see if they can rise up and be another Brazilian strong power team. But also, and Hyper, because the roster they ended up fielding in Group Red wasn't the roster they ended up fielding in Americas, or the team they ended up fielding in North America PMPL. I mean, to be fair, GFan on the roster was surprised to see them do so well in the group, considering GFan's kind of been out of the team for a while now. But they have, I guess, a lot of pressure coming their way from North America in general, considering they're our only representative. And
100 worth it as well. Looks very cool.
That's all I can say.
Flavors 100% rocking over
watching a lot of like doing a lot of parties, watching off.
I'm jealous. I wish I was wearing that today.
Actually, because he knows kind of what to expect.
Take this all the way to the end. In the meantime, Besiktas going against Inco at the moment. Squash will try and run down when the players are successful with it.
Can't help
for one more.
It's the domination of Brazil right now because Influence Rage are just running away with it. And as you said already, talking about
here with this vehicle, he has a really good chance to actually take down the whole team.
In particular, one of my favorite players
does manage to pop the reload there.
I would like to see them
these vehicles are going to be contested. I didn't realise it would be full squads contesting for a couple of these vehicles. Looks like that backup did come through. Inco lose one. I think Besiktas also losing one. They will be able to rest there as well. So both of these teams fully disengaging from this area.
Obviously struggling when it came to placement points, able to put up a ton of eliminations and obviously double chicken dinners as well. We could see just obviously the performance when it came to group stage.
Still at risk at the moment, considering their recent performances, which is a case of 2 games has made up the majority of these 54 points. That is slightly worrying, something that does not worry me whatsoever. It makes me very happy, in fact, is that tomorrow, December 5th, we will be seeing 2022 PUBGC Special Crates releasing all the way through to January 8th, so make sure you get hands on those whilst you still can, but it is all back
I think a lot of people
this
put
one
a
right
lot
now,
of
this
stock in
match,
if
this
Coops
day
is gone,
in particular,
then
where we'll
if he's eliminated early, then maybe they don't have much legs to stand on. But I don't necessarily hugely agree with that. Of course, he is a force to be reckoned with, right? And
we have much more info
to go on from yesterday. And again, like I said, as you can see with the 43 eliminations. But this team still is able to play a macro game,
take a similar approach today,
is gone.
They get 2 games
he is
and they're very happy to see themselves secure towards that top 5. However, this is now the adaptation day. This is where teams have figured out what's going on, what works, and they will have looked at
but also the funny thing was he was the tip of the spear, it seemed, in most parts. He would be like the first one across the road to get position for his team, but he'd be so confident and so successful to be able to do that that it allowed the Galaxy to kind of adapt their style quite a bit to how Coops can
very good in the macro.
If you're Nigma Galaxy, you don't need an IGL. You just need to, Coops is engaged, we just follow.
Usually do it where they had a 4-man squad,
Coops exactly to kind of take these fights. Clearly, as you said, he is the spearhead of these scenarios. He's the one that is leading the charge for this fight.
This time around,
I think very successful when it works out that way. And the rest of the team, sure, they can frag out. We know Lord, we know Freud, we know how Rail can also pop off in these matches, but clearly it's just the setup around Coops. If he gets knocked, pick him up. You want to keep him alive as much as possible,
they did drop out,
which is what I wanted to see almost from Quest with Ahadja, but it's just not been the case. Ahadja's been going out early, so it goes to show how important it is to keep a star player like Coops alive until the very end, because it increases your odds of winning those matches pretty significantly.
Just take that bridge.
I hope it's going to work out for them, though.
Down one, central in apartments is a pretty powerful spot given the circle as it is. A lot of space on the northern side of the river.
They've been a little bit invisible currently at the start of this tournament.
I think with the flame tap as well, that's kind of a likely thing to have happened here, which is where Severny shooting range all very free. HVP may have made a different call if they'd known that the circle was going to head this far towards that northern side. It might have even taken all the vehicles they could, considering this lobby is very eastern-centric. A lot of the western side isn't taken up by teams, so
make it happen yesterday, right? I think Alter Ego was the top out of those 6 teams with 22 points, and that's kind of why I focused on them a little bit in my VOD review from day to day, because I do feel like Alter Ego is the one that can try and get out of that rut that Group Green has put themselves in yesterday, because it is their last chance today. So much so that I do believe that Alter Ego will make some big changes coming in today, like for example, I think that they're going to go north on Sandhawk because M-Hyper goes down towards Kampali, which was a backup drop since they moved away from that Northwest Island, for example. So we'll see if that actually pans out here today. But yeah, I think they've got a tall mountain to climb as Group Green today for the most part.
I will say this, I'm 100% in agreement with you, Clark, but one thing we can't forget about is that the difference between 16th place and 8th place is 15
They're sort of on the outside of the
obviously, if you're Melissa, you're in a situation that's over doubling your points, but it's not that big of a gap at the moment, so it's really going to come down to those potential 1, 2, 3 points difference, whether you're into the last chance or you're unfortunately PUBGC run
that little bit misery.
It's still extremely close, but yeah, it's kind of eye-opening, Max, as we look at
rolling on into compound as well. Spot's crashing in. Spot's the hop out as well. Spray is not going to be good for the first knock, and actually traded off Narvalo, able to get that flush down.
So there's a pretty significant disparity between
really needed to find that first knock on the roll-up.
There's room for them to, of course, catch up here, but
Misery's usually very good at that, which is catching players off guard, but I think that he was a little bit all over the place there, panicking slightly, maybe holding a singular angle could be good, but
this is always the worst scenario to be in. You just got to stay and watch and just hope that
there's so many sightlines into that building, which is the most difficult unless you are pro, in which case you have no real vision of the impact you're being able to hear the sounds of the vehicles rolling up.
It's a terrifying prospect
that
actually
surprise
kind of
play,
stare down.
and relying on the rest
Rejects,
of the team to try and take some shots outwards.
Obviously, right now they got themselves 17 points yesterday. Compare that to the group stage that they had, which was 188 points in total. For me, I don't know if 2 days is enough for Rejects and rotating over for them to gain traction, because Rejects' performances came in the latter stages of their group as a whole, compared to some of the earlier days and the earlier results. That said, as well, there's some uncharacteristic numbers that came out from yesterday. Procedure, for example, only 10 eliminations across 6 games. This is a team that can get that in 1 game, no problem, considering what we saw from them in the group stage. So my eyes are also on them, aside from Ultra Ego.
A little bit quieter now, but I imagine just on the southwest side of those Yas9 fields could be a little bit hotter. I mean, we saw obviously the roll-up from Game Lord over on that side.
The twins, but you know what? Obviously, rotating groups. I think for me, as you kind of mentioned, right? Like we have rotating groups, it kind of doesn't favor some of the teams. But for me, PMGC is always about finding the best all-around team.
Not ideal.
So many different
Again, this is why most teams will shift really central early on. I think it's acceptable to play very center on that first zone shift just because you're expecting a circle like this to occur,
where it's going to be a
and then people can start to play edge from here on out. But getting a central spot,
right, which is 2 days to play, you got to be good all around. We're going to find the team to be just that.
Game Lord decided to move a little bit
But one
further
team
in, clear
I
out maybe one of these teams.
on just really quickly, because I want to throw this out there in case it happens.
Shutting out of that
Influence
top
rate.
5 placement,
You're so far in the
51
lead,
points
there should be
tiebreaker
no
on the
chance
chicken
you're ever
dinner.
going to fall
Going
into the
down
bottom
here at the
8.
start of the day would not be good for them. So when they go through the window, it's absolutely perfect.
Yourself
be going down first.
Some of the teams,
oh, another one in through the window. 2 nades, 2 knocks. It's Jen Foster, a 3rd nade through.
To punish teams.
They will be able to find an answer a little bit. Has the MG49, a lot of bullets, but not going to be able to find the second knock onto Victor. Navarro does fall for Bigatron. Swept
but I want to see it.
You want to see it, okay, but other team's going to take that risk. I'm not quite sure. You could do it if you want at the second half of the day. I think now is a bit early to do that. You're safe. You're not 100% safe, so just...
Mad Balls?
You know exactly, John. That pushes them up past Titans.
I would just say, just play the half of the day, just chill,
points,
normal.
Just behind
then if you want and see how it happens,
overall.
I think the earlier you do it, the more responsive
Game Lord doing a very good job so far. Yes, a lot of these points have been kind of almost saved by Narvalo, able to get a few eliminations here and there on ball, which does pump up that totals a little bit. So they got 10 points yesterday. Either way, if you look at that, a 10-point margin underneath them at the start of the day.
I do think Mapples is relatively safe. I mean, considering that I think that the performance will continue here throughout the day. I think if you were going to target anybody based on these 2 groups alone, I wouldn't even mind looking towards Procedure for
first take on the circle
on Erangel. If you think about their potential rotational paths from something like Yas9 going up against kind of Rozhok, sometimes those can potentially clash from here from time to time, and Erangel is the most, as we all do our little things. Please, sir, I want to be next. I think that could be a target. If they were going to do something, I don't know whether they will.
Too, which makes
the crash a little bit more comfortable. I think that would be a good thing.
I think maybe BTR just have to be a little bit quicker with those nades.
If you prevent people from
and
hot
for Game Lord getting up like that with barely any
stage,
smokes and then just nading through the window, that shouldn't really happen as often as it
But let's see what's going to break down. We're heading to our first match today with Sandhawk. We're throw over to our commentators, Jackie and Blink, to take it away.
HVVP now have swung all the way up to that northern
it's
side.
Exciting already,
They're playing on the north edge of the river.
LGD
we're all in this position, but
cool.
the rotation paths from here they'll be much more familiar with.
Like, we want to get our opinion
going in from North George, so potentially a little bit stronger.
It's sick, man. This week's going to be so damn good. Like, the quality of games yesterday was great. If that carries on, I'm living for it.
Yeah, I mean, we were having a little chat behind the scenes there. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a lot to talk about here. You know, you have some of these groups here that are now playing their last stage,
pushing in from that south side. Will be behind Titan and DRS to their side. That is a nasty shift flag. It's hard north, but it keeps a lot of both sides of the river in.
Some of the players,
going to be difficult choices to be made in the
real
future.
danger.
I think for A7 this is really, really nice.
You do Alliance, they look happy, they look ready to go. They look very, very excited to be able to find a way in towards the circle.
Set us up a little bit further towards Rozhok,
trend over in their group. Didn't start off so strong, but ended it quite significantly well. Obviously not getting in towards that direct invites
stage. But yeah, for Group Green, things do get a little
very rare that we've not seen Alpha 7 go through to PMGC, but already I think that's 2 knocks either side, but with rejecting the back as well, this could be horrendous stuff.
Oh,
a second knock for Mythic over onto Meku, and 2 players are down. It's all on Tixi to hold the front here. Rejector coming through, as you say, third party. Matic and Tixi now for the squad. Carrillo on the corner will find the nades in his way. Tixi gets one back as well, and a lovely little shot through the window. Needs to hold for a second, but a third player from HBDT falls down. It's Matic rolling up to see what's there, and they're out. Both Alpha 7 and
Reject Tokyo can be lumped in with how well they were playing over that week.
And it goes to hell for
HBDT. Well, hang on a minute, hold that thought. It seems like hot drops are happening blank. What's going on here?
It's just that
speed into the action.
Is
that
on the
Mad
side
under pressure already.
They were further towards that northeast. Yeah, we saw this versus Mad Balls in the very first day of their group versus Falcons. They lost their hot drop, but they're used to it now. They're expecting something to go off. They've already headed further towards that western side.
Here. This would be providing anyone that picks it up now a huge opportunity to gatekeep a lot of teams. Inco heads towards the bridge with 3 players. They're going to hold down their situation.
Now, Mad Balls always feel that they were hit with pressure
it's just a little bit too slow.
Even back in regulation of Group 3, they were being tested for control. Inco were the ones that are starting to show up here, though. Early damage done. Fleek down by the DBS. Another knock coming in blank. Bit of a trade, but now we're seeing them both be severed. Lots of damage across either squad now.
It was one apiece, but Inco were able to get that res off there. Vitali will finish off Fleek in the meantime. Zerich desperately trying to hold his own. Becker trying to head down the stairs. Nice little peek out coming through from Inco. Only one Mad Ball left remaining, but it's Tulika, who's having a fantastic day yesterday. Not about to let this game slip out of his hands, but he's only got one teammate left to bring up. A huge amount of damage onto Squash. Last player alive, Tulika. Can he clutch this out?
The timing was very, very close to both of those teams.
Is it going to be burned clutch? The used car salesman drop down for Squash, seeing if he can clear his way through as the bullets come flying. Tulika calls for the backup of his teammates, rotating further over, so he's got room to try and pick him up later if possible. Doesn't peek off the back of the bait of the movement either, so Squash still holding. Frozen expires, and it's all on Tulika for good. No chance of getting his teammates back. So worst case scenario has happened here. Even if either one of these solos get away and give up the final elim, you have crippled yourself coming into the opening game today.
Yeah, Neighbor Galaxy also having a little peek in here with Ralph off in the distance alongside of his teammates. So this fight is not going to go well either way for both squads right now. Tulika is on the broad side, will be spotted almost immediately. This shotgun that Squash has found himself alongside with the SK-12 that he's currently holding on to is just stressful to deal with now for Tulika. You don't want people to be feeling like you're an easy prey. Come towards that direct invite towards the PMGC, that global championship. So for anyone watching, all the other teams are already qualified. You know, Mad Balls having to put on a bit of a performance here, a bit of a display.
我说这是我的，快来，我怕弄不住他。那边人不信，问保安怎么偷的，保安说他抱着就走了。那边说他要能抱走，你就给他吧。这保安不听我说话，我挺烦。我说这是我的，我本来想丢在地上证明一下，结果手劲大了，弹出去了。他滚着朝一个大哥去了。我说大哥，你帮我拦一下。大哥真挺热心的，然后一想不对劲儿，噌就躲开了，啪就摔地上了。他也有点过于激动了，爬起来跟我说：“那是肉体能拦下来的东西吗？”然后劫后余生般的松了口气，再然后眼睁睁看着我把那玩意儿抱了回来。大哥彻底郁闷了。后来保安给我道了歉，说主要我抱着这么奇怪的东西，太容易让人误会了。我说这也不能怪我呀，我这是招谁惹谁的。
Yeah, I mean, for some of these teams, some of these squads, right, it was kind of interesting because we were sort of speculating, is Mad Balls going to be the one to hot drop? in the end, they have to, but it's Inco who does engage that. And I think for Inco, maybe not the greatest thing to happen. I mean, we were talking about how, you know, here on Sandhawk, you do want to try and get as many points as possible, squeeze out as much as possible from this map, because you're only going to see one of it anyway. You don't want to go heavy on these games. Tixi all by his lonesome here. No one else to help him. He's got a DBS versus the 3-man squad here of Quest.
Easy, straight around the corner. Easy 2-pump, double barrel action. Straight into the face of Kitsune as well. Causes him to go bounding around like a very aggressive bunny rabbit. And he's put the foot down, Blank. At least hits onto a 1. The sprint out as well. Basically just offering themselves up as sacrifice there. Those are some freebies for Gladiators. You get the response in as well for the situation. Get everyone back on their feet. You're going to be happy with that.
Yeah, you're going to be really, really pleased with the fact that Tixi's able to hold his own on this compound. It is typically where Tixi does play as well, over towards this eastern side, able for the rest of the team to get over towards him as well. And I think that that is nice. That's a nice regroup coming through from Gladiators. A lot of times they've been fairly slow on that approach. If one player is all on his lonesome, backup doesn't come half as quick enough a lot of times. So for Tixi, he is thanking his teammates, clapping them on the back there. That is a very, very pleasing result for Gladiators. Not so much for Quest, currently on 13 points. It's not really looking too good for this team, even after the absolute mad plays we saw from Al Haji yesterday. I don't know how much further Quest is going to be able to get into this tournament, but I think next year is going to be a really good year for Al Haji, no matter what team he's on.
I think they've done well, at least in kind of winning the hearts of the fans a little bit as well, with the time we've seen from them on camera, the way they've come across in their interviews, and the resilience we saw, at least in regulation, back in Group Green, right? You know, for them to actually fight through and even still be in the tournament in a position where we can still be talking about them right now, Blank, at least for me, was impressive. It just felt like there was a little bit of room for them to get another step forward. It's a shame how some of the games have gone for Quest, especially yesterday. It was rough. It was raw. Misery back on screens here, though. Evos instantly aggressing, looking to try and build themselves a few points on this one. Misery got the early knock off with the UMP. Redface and Co now moving in to clear out the upper compound as well, and flushing their way through anyone that dares to peek into them.
Yeah, it's a nice little fight there from Pasija Evos versus N-Hyper, leaving them down to one player now. And I think for Pasija Evos, this is very well set up. Yesterday didn't look too great for Pasija Evos. I mean, they were doing extremely well over in our group stage, but kind of fell off just a little bit there towards our first day of play for Group Green. 21 points, though. It's not terrible. It's not ideal either, but it's good enough. Pasija Evos, it is just Misery now coming up against some of the players here from NASA. Xenox will open things up.
What more can he get done? Bullets down range early on. It's good high ground, good position to be in. They've got a great understanding of where exactly they could be potentially fought from. Bit of a move on the go here as well, as we see the rotation from Evos off the back of their cleanup. Now finding a bit of a safer compound to play in, but they've been startled, detected from across the road. We're lying in wait. It's Melise of all squads. I hit and miss yesterday, Blank. Honestly, to be fair with you, mate, I feel like we saw a truer test of them, at least in Group Green. You know, from what we saw yesterday, it felt like they were struggling a little bit. Even CEO later, there were times where it felt like this guy was a bit of a one-man army. I don't feel like he was as quick to the mark yesterday. I'm hoping, obviously, with a day of rest, you've come back in a little bit more fresh-faced today. Would like to see some improvements from them today.
Yeah, I mean, for the Turkish squad, it's just a little bit difficult for them at the moment. I mean, they've been making a lot of right moves. And I think for an Edge team that likes to kind of read into opponents' movements around the map and cut the legs out from underneath them, they did a good job of it in terms of theory, right? In theory, where they were playing, it was all fantastic. Then they were going down to these engagements. They weren't always able to win it out very cleanly with a four-man squad going onwards and just clearing from there. And they ended up just losing games very early on. And this kind of the risk with playing Edge a lot of times whilst you're holding out and guarding those Edge sides is that if you get into an engagement there, you lose it, right? There's not much chance of getting very much further into the game. For other teams that like to leapfrog from Edge and then send towards kind of a middling position between the center of the circle and the outer side of it, you have much more chance to get further into the game and maybe pick yourself some pretty consistent placement points off the back of it. And we had a really good conversation as well yesterday, or even this morning, actually, bloody hell, mixing up my time zones. It's all going so quickly right now, where we were talking about, you know, look, some of these teams yesterday just came out absolutely swinging, and I think in this format you have to, whereas other teams sort of got in their own heads a bit.
Yeah, that was one of the big focal points we were kind of sort of umming and ahhing over, about how you could see the difference of, let's say, a team like Influence Rage, who came out just playing their style, just absolutely giving it, right? Any opportunity they had to just swing on a fight, play confidently, going into an engagement basically thinking, you know, we've already won this. They're just thinking about the points being in their pocket. You're going to have so much more of a better time of it than going into it giving so much respect to teams, overthinking these situations. And we've seen that change. A lot of our squads from Group Green, it feels like their play styles have kind of flip-flopped more so than anything compared to what we were seeing during that regular point. This is an interesting one, actually kind of ties into that. You can see here, Reject Tokyo at least getting a bit more confidence to fight and contest for center control. A little bit lucky there in terms of the draw of the circle, but it works out. You've got a compound, you're in a good spot, and they're going to be pleased with this, mate. They'll be chuffed with that blank, because when they had center control, when they felt comfortable early in a compound, this is where we saw some of the better games from Reject, because honestly, they're great on defense, good comms. It just felt like getting there was rough for them. They've been playing a lot of edge, and it hadn't been working out too well. I'd hope that would be a positive change. Bit of a fight potentially developing here as well. You've got the push up the hill. Focus is drawn from NASA towards the backside, but a few bullets whizzing on by. Room for a bit of a scrap here.
Yeah, I think for Enigma Galaxy as well as Nasa, this is a case where potentially Enigma Galaxy will just think about just swinging wide of this, potentially trying to get in underneath towards Painan. I think Enigma Galaxy is a team that is very well known for some of their more smart rotations. A little bit of a scout there from Ralph. He's in very much danger now of taking a knock. Luckily, the vehicle is going at a strong 90 miles per hour. Alter Ego zooming in towards where Reject is playing. Already Octa gets taken down here. They try and take control of one edge, but Reject has penned them in, locks them into one location. Now the nades can start to come through. There's a lot of damage off the back there. In the meantime, Duxan does take down Ralph. We talked about him earlier being very, very low.
Pins pulled on the nades for Alter Ego, looking to see if maybe there's a way they can defend themselves with these bad boys. Problem is they've already taken so much damage. Reject Tokyo setting themselves up. They're trying to reset in terms of the defense and readjust what positions they're playing from so they can support each other a little bit easier. There is nades in play as well. Reject Tokyo normally very good on lining up those double nades. That could be something to come back towards. For now, we'll see what's happening up on the hillside as well. There's been a bit of commotion here. Teams have been making their presence known, and that high ground control is going to be worth its weight in gold the longer this one goes on. So pressure being applied there. Rotation coming in as well. You've got Alliance on the move as they start to make their way over. Drop in the smoke so they've actually got some cover to work with. And you'd need it because Melissa are close by and they're eagle-eyed, Blank. They've got eyes like a hawk.
Yeah, for Yudu, this is probably one of the toughest rotates currently happening on around the map, where they're sort of locked in between DX as well as Malise Esports, and DX has a fantastic control of his high ground. Something we saw a lot from them yesterday is identifying some very strong positions on the map, but also being really good at holding them down. Not necessarily always in compounds, just in certain areas of the map where they have that high ground control. They can play around a little bit of hard cover and go from there. Circle moves very hard towards that north side. Now, that is a little bit of grace given towards MB Esports. They can use that to their advantage. Yudu Alliance, they take a knock in Flax, and a quick heal goes over towards Fatar there. So very, very immediate response from Yudu Alliance, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. I think they're just caught on with the worst end of the stick out of the lobby. Probably the only team that's going to suffer in the next minute or so, I would say. Malise Esports on this side of the map. Now Kisyu does go down. Poser has a nade in hand. We'll send it over towards Nisa, but Malise Esports again just crumbling a lot during these days. Again, Nisa, 5 eliminations found so far. Really, really good stuff from them. I think this is interesting because it is a lot of these squads that we see a fair few times that just come into these games swinging. They tend to do well, and I would say that this is a very, very good and promising mark of the game going forward here, Jackie.
I'd agree with you, man. It feels like, actually, we're getting into a bit of a groove now, a bit of a stride for some of our teams. A lot more aggression displayed early game as well here with the culmination of the 2 groups we have in today's lobby for survival stage. Now, they were being pulled and pushed in multiple directions here. It felt like they weren't quite sure which fight they wanted to set their gaze on, but now they've been thrust into one. They have to try and survive, taking a ton of damage up against the Evos. Good lay of the land from Link as well. Knows to look towards the distance, can see just over the ridge side where his next opponent is coming from. They've got an understanding of where exactly he's playing towards, but with the bullets connecting, they're going to start to farm up these elims. Malise, meanwhile, are crashing down as well. This is Judo Alliance still trying to push over that hill. They've been doing this for quite some time, Blank, and maybe it's going to start to work out. Nice connection onto Levites. He's dropped and finished off for good, and they're still pushing in.
Yeah, Cluck's doing a really good job here. I actually like the thought process we saw from Judo Alliance. Unfortunately for them, DX followed them down on that south side, which is a really cool play from DX. You don't a lot of times see teams chasing on this situation. In the meantime, Reject desperately trying to hold on towards their central compound. They left it, they moved towards that north side, but they did face off versus FaZe. But they're currently still in a strong position. Gladiators, for them, this game is very, very important. They already started things off really well with a 4 eliminer. It would be absolutely strange and weird circumstance that we see Gladiators get the majority of their points done on Sandhawk. As we know, they are horrid at this map. This is a map that they do not find a lot of success on, but already they're up to 7 eliminations. With 4 players alive, this is starting to be a really good run for them.
There's an itch in the back of my brain just reminding me of one of the Sandhawk games we saw from Gladiators quite some time ago, Blank. And I just remember it starting off in the same kind of way. When the pressure's on Gladiators, when it feels like, the story's not going to happen, the crazy comeback towards the end is never going to be there. It feels like finally that Cinderella story won't be written. Something like this happens. We've seen it before on Sandhawk. I don't know what causes them to play like this sometimes, but they've certainly had their breakfast this morning, and they're coming out with some fibrous maneuvers, looking very solid in the moves they're making. 7 elims to the name, Blank. How much longevity have they got on this one? We'll keep our eyes on it because Gladiators need a good game, and the individuals are playing to prove that.
Yeah, they desperately do. Right now, facing off versus Duxan, not an easy team to go up against. MB Esports, they lose Fistboy on a knock. That's to DX, who are doing a really good job over on this eastern side, just clearing their way through. Up to 3 eliminations now. Alter Ego also chiming in. Bit of a better rotate from them over towards this south side, able to take over that compound that Reject were holding on to. I think a lot of that comes off the back of the fact that Gladiator was able to get some really good pop shots between the windows, knock some of the players from Reject. Very much slow them down, bog them down. More nades sailing in from Gladiators, taking out the remainder now of Duxan. FaZe spots out some of the players from Gladiators, will take some pot shots towards them, over towards that western side. Chow gives his life for the rest of the team, but it's just Paragin now. With Lamborghini down, he is able to get in, but this is more of a survival game for them. Great circle here for the Gladiators. The last minute men, as usual, very much feels like back towards my university days where the deadline's looming and then suddenly I'm in the library for 24 hours.
That's how it always goes with Gladiators, man. I sympathize with a lot, Blank. I'm the same. Unless the deadline's there, it's not getting done. And that's the way they play. And honestly, it's working wonders for them right now. Again, with every time we're looking over to them, they're starting to build up more elims. And like you're saying, zone-wise as well, they're in a good position to make a play off this. The one awkward encounter in the dead center as well is Reject Tokyo, now basically being the Reject duo, with all of FaZe in full force around them as well. So not really what you want to be. A bit of flat sharing going on, and that's illegal. It's called subletting, Blank. FaZe are going to clap back onto DX as well, finding a way to peek through the windows. An assault onto Paragin. That's an unlucky knock.
Yeah, I think right now, even though he's able to get Lamborghini up, it was kind of for nothing. This little high ground the Gladiators currently have control of was so fortuitous that they got the circle on this side. Coming off that high ground is very difficult, so they're trying to milk it for as much as they can here, stay on this top side. But it's MB Esports coming in to try and challenge us for now. Gladiators need to be ready for this one. Kitsune luckily is in position as the DBS, only able to find one though, and that's not quite enough. The rest of the team instantly needs to improvise off the back of this. Sek and Mondo are down, so it's a decent start. The nades start pouring in, and it's a nice nade on the backside towards Fistboy. Just a Kaze left remaining, and Gladiators quickly clean them up there. Up to 12 eliminations now, Jackie. A fantastic start. Tixie's flying through the air. Matic is on the support.
Oh, mate. This is perfection put together so precisely from Gladiators right now. That was beautiful. The nade work to defend after the crash was on point, and then straight back into hungering for more elims. The peek down the hill, beautiful connection on the aim skill as well, and we get left with our final 4. A scrappy one at that as well, Blank. Alter Ego still alive. They were able to find what remained of Mad Bulls and shut them down, but they've now had the same done to them. Peek out from Sarah Biceps, and with a smooth right hook, he's wiped them off the face of the battleground. 3 squads remain.
Gladiators currently on the outside edge right now. It's FaZe with a very strong position. Alter Ego still need to work their way in as well, but they went out earlier on. Reject holding on. It's a good little game for them, but for the Gladiators, more points would be absolutely gorgeous for them here. If they could win out this game, they'll send themselves tumbling towards that top side of the lobby after just one match. So 20 points. Realistically, if they can get themselves 25 after this, they'll be very, very safe. It'll give them a buffer. They still will need to put in the work after the rest of the day, but they'll be in so much better stead. And taking that pressure off yourself this early on in the day is so, so nice.
Taking the pressure off themselves and applying it to Reject Tokyo. Problem is, though, it's not going to turn them into diamonds. It seems like they will instead just buckle under the pressure. Bit of a peek out here from FaZe, though, as Gladiators encroach further on the compound, closing in on them, using their utility to try and blow Lufa out of the equation. Nade after nade barreling through. Swing from FaZe on the stairway as well. And that connects. Sameku left black and blue, down on his last legs now as they first onto him. Gladiators with only a duo remaining, Blank.
I think regardless of what happens there, I think Gladiators are fairly pleased with this result, right? Meku was always left behind to try and help the rest of the team get further up. Now it's Matic in a 1v3 scenario. It's going to be very difficult for him to pull this type of thing off. Goes for the pre-fire as the circle starts to push all these players in. Has an idea of where they're swinging. This rock is really nice to play around, but Onzen, he's on the prowl, and it will be found by the rest of the team. Mormon finishes off Matic. Regardless, FaZe picks himself a nice win from a very easy rotate on that north side, but for Gladiators, that could have been a lot more for them. Either way, I think it was around about 15 eliminations they finished that game with the 6 points on top of it. 21 points is just a very, very nice start for them. And you know what? Jason might have been right to bring them up at the start of the day.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, we sit there, Jason brings out all his storylines that you think are never going to happen. And I think we hit the mark for 3 out of 3 of Jason predictions all in one game. So he's doing well today, Blank. He's doing well. Oh, look at the dance.
He's happy. He's pleased with that one. I mean, starting off the day with a win here for Mela is really, really nice for him. He's got his hot water bottle in hand as well, mate. Oh, yes. Taking the heat to the next level.
This is why FaZe are winning. No, they're bringing the heat in. They're warm. Exactly, Blank. That's madness. They got the moves inside and outside of the battleground, and they got the chicken dinner to boot as well. Can't turn your nose up at that one, but I think we do have to give a little bit of eyesight over towards Gladiators, looking at the stats in terms of what they got up to on that one as well. Yeah. That's a big game from them, right? They're actually fragging as well, Blank, which I think makes the world of difference in the sense of confidence. It's what we were talking about way back at the start of the game. At least now, having a high elim game, it should perk you up a little bit. You're not going to feel so somber throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, the teamwork looked really, really good there from the Gladiators towards the end, and that's what you want to see overall. In the meantime, we're going to send you back over to the other team over on the desk.
The desk team, the best team here. Like FaZe Clan getting their victory on the board here, starting things off strong for Group Red. But to be honest, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of working parts in this one that allowed quite a few other teams to have some decent results. You know, Max, I know you didn't want to talk about him at the start of the day, but I'm going to make you talk about him now. No. It's G Gladiators.
Okay, you know what? They got himself some wins. I can give you that much, Jason. I think Kalaris was talking about that. The eliminations kind of got fed to them in weird ways, especially that fight versus Quest. Alter Ego changing their drop location to the Eastern Island, and Mad Bulls fighting Inko, which means that their rotation path here, Jason, is completely free. Even if you rotate late, you can make it through Trifecta, you can get access to Bootcamp Hill, and off the back of that, they can just start blasting at so many other teams like Duxan, Alter Ego, and get 15 eliminations on the board. They needed those points here because they were in a tough spot before here, and they already doubled their points. They had 20 points before this match, and now extra 21. That is massive for Gladiators.
That might be exactly what they need to get themselves in more of a safer position, considering this is their last day of play overall. But another team we have to dive into here is Reject in particular, because the position they had, we were watching a little bit of a disagreement between you and Max in terms of what Reject decided to do as his own tried to center up on FaZe.
So I think that they were trying to make the game-winning play, right? Like with some of their moves. They start in Trifecta, they had a 2-2, and they go to the compound, which in our region we see always as a focus point for some of these circles mid Sandhawk. Now, they realized Alter Ego's coming in behind them. They made a ridiculous blitz through. It was risky, but they actually got a lot of points from it, 8 points in total. That's by the by. Rejects here from this point on tries to leave this compound and go north towards FaZe. I think they already took one elimination off of FaZe, so they knew that they were weakened, or in a weakened state, but it was very slow, very unsuccessful trying to breach the position of FaZe here. So I like that Rejects was trying a winning move, but it materialized. At least they got high up in this game, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that the situation they were in with Alter Ego playing the Road Trifecta compound is you want to work with Alter Ego and stay in that compound for as long as possible to gatekeep other potential threats later on down the line. If you stay there with Alter Ego, you eliminate Nigma Galaxy, Deke Xavier, Duxan. You can also maybe eliminate some players of Gladiators as they get pushed down Bootcamp Hill, and off the back of that, you can transition through the rocks, maybe make over to FaZe. I think that was the better approach, but to be honest, the moment Deke Xavier died, right, Kalaris, they could play those rocks and survive super fine to the match. So it ended up working out, but I think there was maybe another option available. But that's the cool thing. There's so many ways to play it that you don't know which one might be the best at the end.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, like a symbiotic relationship in that compound for a little while. The thing I look at it is that they got third in this game, and would they have probably have got third if they'd have stayed in that compound as well? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But would they have got first? Almost absolutely not. So I think that, you know, they were trying to go for it all, and obviously it didn't pan out.
Yeah, and again, trying to make those plays that are really important for them, considering Reject coming into this one from Group Green. So they only have, well, now 5 matches left to go. They have to get as many points as possible. They have to make sure that to make the right decisions, though, as we did look at a drop as well between Mad Bulls and Inko. And Mad Bulls, a team that it really doesn't matter for them, right? They're pretty much safe into the last chance. For Inko, though, at least them trying to scrape by as many points as possible. I think they got 3 with the eliminations. They're realizing, okay, well, this is not going to work out. Let's try to salvage with something, but they have to maybe look forward now to the next 5 matches.
Yeah, don't forget the best part of that fight here, Jason, is just Raoul coming like, sit down. just get rid of them right away.
That was a good bit.
That was a good bit right there. But yeah, it's a hot drop. It is normally Inko that would have to change that drop because Mad Bulls, as you touched upon, Kalaris, during that game, are already so comfortable. It is currently their fight to win currently in that position. If they win it, they clear it for the last chance. And Inko, they're just going to be maybe completely out of that position from the get-go. So yeah, Inko, cool. It's fair enough. There's only 1 of these maps per day. But you might want to try and think of avoiding those as much as possible because it can really impact your results over only 2 days worth of play. That is such a small amount of time that these hot drops can really impact your position.
Yeah, it would be even especially more huge if there was more than 1 Sandhawk per day, right? But there's very little interest in giving up your position when you've done as well as you did like yesterday as Mad Bulls.
One thing I do want to mention really quickly, because you said it while we were watching the game, and I kind of really liked the idea of it. We did see Alter Ego change the drop location, as was mentioned already on the desk here. They went up towards Cow. But then when the zone started to shift away from Corey, more centralized, and they were on the east side of Corey, you were talking about what do they do here in this position. And Klaus, I wanted you to bring that up just really quickly.
Yeah, again, they're just playing really risky PUBG Mobile. Like, going for these wide rotates, going up against Quarry, which is a very difficult place to transition away from. They have to bomb it through to try and make something happen. If they'd have come in from the north, it might have just been an easier time. But yeah, they did all right. But it was, again, very risky PUBG Mobile here.
Yeah. High risk, potentially high reward for Altigo, who desperately need every single point they possibly can in our final 5 matches. And it's time to head into our second match of the day, which is our first Erangel of the day with Jackie and Blake.
Ooh, the first of the 3 Erangels. This is good. This is always my favorite Porsche and Blank, because it feels like we start to get the more nuanced games, right? Where we can kind of expect the more unexpected. But this lobby's already looking kind of wild. So we'll see what we get, Blank. We'll see what we get. Room for some treats.
Yeah, I think that the guys on the desk touch on a really important point here is that for some of these teams, you know, specifically what Kalaris was talking about really interested me in the sense that, you know, Reject, they go for the game-winning play at the end of the day. And I think you have to do that now. You really do have to go for these sort of things because, honestly, for Group Green, we know that this is their last day of play to get in towards that survival stage, not be in the bottom 8. And again, because you are the group that's playing the first 2 days in a row, you don't play the last day, you don't really know what marker you're aiming for, right? You don't know where that bullseye lies because no one is on that 16th position where it's just fixed, and you can think to yourself, we only need to get this amount of points to get in, so you have to push it to the max every single game. And I think that some teams are realizing, I would say too late at this point in time in Group Green, that they have to go for these game-winning moves. That had to come through yesterday. It absolutely had to come through yesterday. I think Mad Bulls took their fate into their own hands very quickly, as did Influence Rage, who have more than secured their position over towards the last chance phase. At this point, I think they have 77 points, something ridiculous at this point in time. So I think for some of these teams, maybe it's coming through too late. You need a little bit of luck today. You need to really hit your shots. You need to be making strong rotations and maybe, just maybe, able to bump those points up just enough. I think for Quest, that instant elimination at the start of the day there on Sandhawk versus a team that most people regard as not the greatest Sandhawk team will really knock their confidence in a big way. We know Quest made it in by the skin of their teeth, literally 1 point in Group Green to get towards that survival stage. I don't know if that sort of playstyle is going to cut it here, where a lot of teams, we're starting to cut down past the teams that, you know, didn't get past the first group stage. They're now in the survival stage now, where we have a lot of really, really strong teams. They won't just sit down and die like Tiamba did.
No, it's not going to be anywhere near as easy or as fine of a margin. I think that's the other part as well, is the fact that that was 1 point of difference. So I'd imagine it's going to be a little bit more of a stark contrast here. Hello, imagine
I would have cried.
That would have been huge, man. Full John Rambo action to start off the day, but not going to happen. They will try and instigate the fight, though, onto Melise as best as possible, whilst they know they're a little bit fragmented over in Alliance territory. So he's going to go breezing off, and Poser will join the rest of the squad, group up, and see what they can get done. But yeah, it is very... I don't know, it's quite a curious way to start off the day, really, in terms of some of the teams that we saw playing well. It was a bit more unexpected for me. After what we saw from Gladiators, I was kind of starting to shift into that, you know, you don't believe in the Gladiators camp. But as soon as it feels like you hit that point on the meter, that's when they bounce back. I think they do it just to, like, spite everyone. They do, man. They really want to kind of like rope you into the idea that it's not going to happen, and then, you know, they make all the fans book their tickets last minute to the finals. That's how that always goes. But we'll see if they can maintain pace, because it was a good game from them. But it's a key point that you hit on as well that I think is quite interesting, in the sense that the best they can do now is try and repeat that as much as possible today, because obviously they've left themselves with no other chances to accumulate points. So if you're leaving it up to another team to decide your fate, that's the rough part.
Losing Alva off the back as well. And I think this is something that's happened a few times now coming through from the boys on the squad. And I think that when you look at this, for Alter Ego, you just maybe drop trash around Mansion. don't go for this 2-2 split between Lipovka as well as Mansion itself. It's not worth it. With the amount of teams that saw you yesterday get trounced by other squads, of course, NBE Sports is going to come down here and start to take some pot shots towards you. Mondo's coming in with the UAS, likely to clean this one up. The best Rosemary can do is send out some smokes, try and hit a couple of shots over with the DP, but I don't know, man.
No, this is looking pretty raw. It's like uncooked beef at this point, Blank. It is not what you want, mate. One by one, just getting finished off a little bit here for Alter Ego. They've had such a rough couple days in terms of their opening drops. And again, you know, it does really feel like everyone's sort of passed the word around that Alter Ego is the easier team to bully on these drops, Blank. It just keeps happening.
Yeah. I mean, you make yourself an easy target and teams will want those points off from you. And you don't make those adjustments, it's not going to go well in future. Maxman, very astutely
Max update.
Max update, from the Max Mansion itself. You know, Nigma Galaxy usually dropping towards Pachinki. The Xavier over in Group Green refused to give up Pachinki whatsoever. They kept dropping there every single time, even on hot drops. But this time around, they drop over towards Severny. They give it up. This is the first time they've never dropped there. And I think for the Xavier, this is actually a really, really important little tidbit to go off the top of, because I like this maneuver. You drop towards Pachinki versus Nigma Galaxy. You know this is a strong team, but right now, you're currently third place, 53 points. Consistency, it can be afforded now. So a Severny drop for DXavier when it's open, completely reasonable, I would say, to go for this team. They know they can get further into the map. They know that they're strong holding in that mid game and then trying to take out teams towards that late game as well, with a little bit of sweeping from the high grounds. So I think this is a really good move from DXavier, and again kind of feeds into that storyline, as if you made those points happen in that first day, you have a lot of room to switch up tactics, to switch up strategies. You know, if this is a case that DXavier would be on like 15, 19 points, they might have considered dropping over towards Pachinki and just trying to push it to the limit down there versus Nigma Galaxy, trying to win out on that hot drop and then going out from there, because those 4 eliminations would be very nice. And you can't really fear that fact of, what if we lose the hot drop? You just have to go and think to yourself, we're going to win this hot drop, we're going to move from there, we'll take that central position and give it some really good rotational paths into the late game. Everyone else in this lobby is just going to get trounced by us. You just have to think that you're a much larger team than you actually are.
Yeah, you've got to embody the stature, right? Make it, you know, look like it's hard for you to fit through doorways, that kind of stuff. Build the confidence up by making yourself feel bigger than you are. And that was what they did. I mean, even back in Group Green, right? It was kind of them versus Bra, was just like the battle of Pachinki every single time, Blank. And DX were willing to fight those down to the bitter end, you know, limping away with one player left if they needed to, or even conceding basically an entire run on one of our games of Erangel just to guarantee that drop. So I like the fact that they've at least moved away from that here and kind of thought, all right, we really did risk it, you know, back then. Now it's a little bit of a different kettle of fish. Let's not go for those sort of plays. So good to see the improvement there and the adjustment as well, to be willing to even give up your normal confident drop. Man, drop is a word that is synonymous with Alter Ego at the minute, though, as every time we look towards the Elim feed, it feels like it's Rosemary that's just taking bullets from miles away. It's so unfortunate for AE for the way these games have been going. But again, here, they're just exposed. You've got a line of sight. MBE just keep putting the pressure on them, Blank.
Yeah, I think for Alter Ego at this point in time, it's just not looking good, right? And I think we said this multiple times at this point. There had to be a change going today. Kalaris gave some really good points, some very risky rotations. I think this one in particular was a risky drop as well. I think you can go for risky drops where they provide you a bit more of an idea of actually getting further into the game. But when you're dropping over towards Mansion and then split dropping in Lipovka as well, and you know that Procedure dropped towards Yasnaya, MBE Sports drop around this location as well, you're sort of playing with fire at that point in time. You know, there is just an opportunity to, look, give up on the scouting early on. We have a very good read on where most of these teams move in from, just from watching a lot of the other games that have happened throughout the group stage. Let's just just go for a 4-man push over towards Lipovka. We'll split out. We'll try and sweep up towards the top side of Kameshki and move down from there. There's a lot of good little pit stops along the way on that side of the map. So for Alter Ego, again, a risky drop, which I don't think was particularly necessary here. The Xavier, kind of expected from them. Move up towards northern side, take the high ground, control, and play off the back of that one. So I like this from DXavier indeed. Mad Bulls also find themselves on the northern side of Yasnaya. Very nice little quick rotate from them, and a very hard shift over towards the eastern side, encompassing a lot of water in this one as well. So if teams want to get their feet wet, they certainly can if they want to live out this game a little bit longer. But for most teams, it's going to be either trying to sweep on this northern side or trying to hold towards some of these compounds on the edge. It's kind of a difficult position to play in. Some teams will be afforded some great spots early on if they were able to get here quick enough, but some teams on this outer edge will be struggling to find themselves a home.
Yeah, man, this is one that's setting up to potentially be a bit of a community swimming pool circle if it keeps up like this. About 40% water at the minute, so landmass really going to be important to lay claim to early. Try and set yourself up as quick as physically possible and don't leave it up to another squad to already claim all of the compounds. The mass migrations are coming through. You can see everyone starting to make their rotate down towards the zone, trying to get there as quick as physically possible. Bit of contact on some of the players that are playing slightly more defensive as well inside of the compounds, just listening out for where everyone's heading. Mad Bulls stopping for a quick pit adjustment. Meanwhile, we've got the pull-up from Alliance down towards the compound of Rejects, and that nade was tasty, Blank. That was a 3-pointer straight onto the head of OCO.
Yeah, certainly painful. In the meantime, Inco is getting picked up by Enigma Galaxy. That's on the south side right now. Both teams were rotating in, so some pretty decent shots, I assume, were being made from inside the vehicle itself. Very much a turret going through right now from Enigma Galaxy, all in one vehicle. Slightly dangerous, but it's worked out for them so far, with Inco taking one knock and a flush off the back of that. In the meantime, Malise Esports situate themselves all the way over towards Lipovka, try and keep themselves as safe as possible. Alter Ego regroup on the coastal side towards the east with 3 players, but surrounded by an N-Hyper as well as the Mad Bulls, who have picked up what I think is one of my favorite positions within the circus, a really nice ridge side that you can play from over on this eastern edge, and keeps you very clear. You do have to worry about some of the teams on the eastern side. See right now, Enigma Galaxy just cannot find anywhere to stay. And this is what I'm talking about. If you come out on the edge here, you are going to be driving around a lot. And it's even more terrifying the fact they're in one vehicle, which is exactly why they try and get into a second, but not before Coops is pulled out of it. And Freak will just have to leave off the back of that.
Man, it's so unlucky. You see the heads-up play there, trying to dash the smoke can before the drop, so it blooms to at least give him some sort of cover. But unfortunately, UDO Alliance had such a good angle, such a good line of sight onto that position that they've basically just been gifted a freebie. And the situation there worsens even more for them. So you're still driving around looking for a parking spot in a never-ending garage. And there will never be a parking spot, Blank, because everyone is already set up with guns, using these parking spots as compounds to play in.
Yeah, and they won't be leaving anytime soon, so you're not getting that middle space. I'm sorry about that. In the meantime, we do get a circle that moves down towards that south side, in which case Reject and UDO Alliance's compounds become very, very valuable indeed. So for UDO Alliance, currently they do have the strongest spot, which is up on high. Reject slightly safer in terms of the fact that they can just sort of sit in this compound for a while. You know that UDO Alliance, with them being in this compound, they're not likely to move anytime soon, so they don't want to expend too many grenades just sending them down over towards Reject. So Reject have this outpost which is guarded by UDO Alliance. Eventually they are likely going to have to fight against one another, but both teams in this sort of mutual agreement at the moment.
Malise as well, hitting a nice shot across onto Freak and dropping the man. So the situation still just going from bad to worse, second after second, constantly taking damage and feeling uncomfortable, just playing out in the open, exposed to the elements at this point. Reject Tokyo firing off the warning shots. FaZe on the move as well. Round the side of the ridge, contact from inside of the building. Ifan spitting bullets at him, seeing if he can keep the pressure on. Mormon going to dash back with a couple of smokes as well, at least provide some protection. Koi's got the range on it, trying to debate whether or not he wants to engage on this one. If he can hit the shots with such a substantial drop, battle back as well. FaZe constantly just taking damage from either side now. A lot of HP being licked off them as well. So this could start getting a bit rough for FaZe, Blank, if they can't find a way to calm this one down.
Yeah, Hyper has got so many angles on you. GK first over towards the shack right now. Xifan taking shots from inside the building. FaZe have sort of set themselves up in a pretty horrid scenario right now for themselves. Hyper looking to potentially regroup, but again, GK first comes in with another clutch shot over towards Mela, in which case they might just send towards this. The blue is pushing them in, and an opening knock like that is absolutely gorgeous for them.
First one's what you want. How many more are in store for them? Be a nice way to reality check FaZe straight away, man, off the back of their chicken dinner as well, if you could pull them down here.
I don't know why GK keeps going for these shots, to be honest. So greedy. Looking to finish off Mela. You can kind of understand why he's going for it, though. You don't want to let that player live. They are able to finally flush him out, but two players out in the blue right now, and FaZe currently have pretty good shooting angles over towards them. Koi luckily does find another on Mormon. He's so up close and personal, taking a lot of shots. There's not a lot of support coming through. Ventores understands that he too needs to get a move on, and quite quickly with the circle moving in. Very, very quick movements all around the block for Hyper, but this has been a sort of a crazy push from Hyper, locking both FaZe and them to their dooms. GK first even drops over there to the play zone itself. This has been a very, very odd fight. Gladiators looking to maybe get themselves slightly involved. Xifan inside the building, and Hyper actually indeed go down. Mormon as well as Ventores might be able to continue, and that felt like one of the weirdest fights coming through from Hyper indeed. I didn't like that whatsoever. Felt like almost a guaranteed hold over towards its south side, just given up by some odd angles being taken.
Yeah, it really does feel like they've kind of both dragged themselves down. You know, we've no potential really successful outcome for either team in that situation. Very aggressive and very tunnel visioned in the way that they played it. So both squads basically being destroyed because of it. I mean, yeah, sure, FaZe still has presence at least, but hang on, hello, I'm a barrel roll straight into Matic. Okay,
misery.
So I guess FaZe were in fact just a present for Gladiators, Blank, because they've given them one additional point there and given us some nice showmanship in the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I think he realized it was over as soon as he started spinning out of control. Nice shots there from Meku. PUBGM Evos try and stop off to get a little bit of scouting done and realize actually quickly put some gas in it, change the gears as fast as possible, please. Nice rotate from PUBGM Evos. They do get in front of the guys from Gladiators, which is probably not what Gladiators were hoping for. If they could have maybe got a little bit further ahead instead of being stopped off there by the random player from FaZe coming through, maybe they would have been in a better position where currently PUBGM Evos is, though. But you look at the lay of land now, where we're currently playing over towards the south side. Most teams you can see situated on the southern side of the circle, right? Just because this is providing the most amount of cover. There is so much open ground to traverse through if you're coming up from this northern edge. So MB Esports Gladiators got a bit of a weird rotation to make here. Gladiators could take the fight here versus PUBGM Evos and potentially move off from the back of it. There's going to have to be some good nades, and Kitsune does not spot the player off towards his left.
Ooh, Kitsune engaging with the nades early, looking for the jump down. Nice. He was ready for that one, Blank. Instantly spots Redface and will leave him quite red in the face after that uppercut from the DBS. Zerich from absolutely miles away, looking to get involved with this fight where possible, scanning the hillside with his eyes and keeping a nice understanding of the situation. Meanwhile, here we see MBE starting to dive in, an assault inside of the compound. Bullet after bullet, whizzing close minutes by. Nasa now re-aggressing as well, looking to try and push their way back through. Spam up close. Fist Boy needs to land an uppercut. Not looking too good for him though, as he'll go down to the spray. How on earth is he still alive with a trickle of HP blank? It felt like he was trying to 1v4 that with nothing to his name.
I mean, Xenox did an incredible job there, but his quest coming in over towards Reject. They're holding on as best they can, and the crash is just not working out. Lufa immediately gets inside. They want to keep hold of all 4 members here. They know they've got a strong position to be working with. Duello moves in, tries to clear out the player, but he gets a nice little sideswipe back in towards the door. Finally, it's over, as Tixi will pick up an elimination over towards Fahidan. But 6 eliminations for Gladiators. Once again, a pretty decent result for this squad. They'll have to push on through, potentially third-partying down towards his position on Reject. Could be a good idea, but even Meku still putting on the hurt versus Inko, holding on whilst Kitsune scouts towards the western side of the circle. This is far, far better for Gladiators so far. You can tell the teamwork is here. Yesterday, they just felt so disjointed.
Well, they're just fighting as well, Blank. I think that's the one big difference, right? Is we're seeing them play so confidently now where they're actually pulling up, looking like they're going into these engagements with the idea being to win them, with the idea being to get elims. Whereas yesterday, it felt a bit timid. It felt like they were playing inside of a box and kind of waiting for teams to come towards them. So I'm glad to see it. Definitely a much-needed facelift for Gladiators, looking a lot more like the side that we like to see, at least. A lot of movement going on now as well. Bit of reshuffling. There's a ton of commotion down here. So everyone's kind of ringing the proverbial dinner bell, if you will. And it started to bait in the rotators, the man-dem that want to pull up and try and squirrel away some of the points. So let's see if that'll be a potential outcome here. Roadside shenanigans for NBE. Meanwhile, Melise engaging on Origo. That was big, Blank. Nice nade to open it up.
Yeah, an absolute chunky nade as well. Kisyu looks for another, sends it in, but Origo is tucked away just for the time being. Smoke's been dropped down by Melise Esports. They don't want to get caught off on the side here. In the meantime, Becker on his lonesome trying to take down the rest of DX Xavier. Does find at least Levi's here, which is fairly impressive indeed. CEO later off in the wings, looking to see if he could spot any of the players here in Lipovka. Alter Ego, they drop in Lipovka itself. This is where they've resided for a very, very long time now, looking to potentially get a little bit more out of it. But Melise have them surrounded. Reject once again, surviving their position, will have to move forward. They know that UDO Alliance are behind them.
UDO, what can they do in a spot like this, playing on a hillside? Flax adjusting the crosshair, paranoid about the smoke expiring to his left, but wants to prioritize the correct angle, hoping they can get some shots off onto Reject. Once they expose themselves, they've got a 3-pronged smoke wall blocking themselves at the minute, with the tree geometry providing a bit of cover as well. Slowly pushing their way up past the bushes now, as Lufa will jump in the rotate car. Oh, should have got info on that as well as he drove up. Seems like he knows he could be peeked from the ridge side. So we'll smoke that off and try and cover himself. Clark's up top, Blank. Man's got the DMR as well to work with potentially here. Seems like it's the shotgun also. Nice little DBS for close range engagements. And nades to boot. That could be a bit of a banger. Seems like it should be on target, but slightly off the mark.
Yeah, you really need an airburst here, but a nice shot comes through, and I think that's from MBE Sports actually over towards UDO Alliance. The Gladiators continue to lose members. Squash finally does go down off in the distance. And the circle does center up and confirm up towards Lipovka. So any team that made that decision early is happy about it. But look at this. UDO Alliance is losing members left and right, but the drop shot will at least keep them alive for a little bit longer. But the drop shot just ends up with them being dropped themselves. UDO Alliance out and Reject up to 5 eliminations. A very different face on this team, looking more Oni-esque today. Demonic coming through from Reject.
This is more what we wanted, right? You're raising hell a little bit now. They're getting stuck into the game, Blank, not playing as timid, fighting when necessary, trying to play towards center, contesting for edge control when needed. It's better from Reject, but they've got to maintain that, keep that course going. Don't let it drop off now, as they do at least find their way through the test of UDO and control that one. NBE keep popping up all over the shop. It feels like NBE have just been running back and forth, trying to stay alive from this roadside, having little moments of chip damage onto anyone that peeks into them. They're still here for now, just in front of Rejects. They're exposed if they go for a bit of a push. They're just using the smokes to hold themselves for now, but Sara is engaging with it. It's a nice first nade. Got the lineup on the second as well, Blank. The nades alone could be enough to deal with them.
Man, the long arm on Sara is looking good, but nasty shots coming in from Nakaze through the smoke, takes down a fair few of them. Now Duello left to challenge versus Nakaze off in the distance. Nice shot on the edge, but quickly cleans them all up. And what a clean finish there from Nakaze at the end. It looked like it was all done and dusted for the squad, but fantastically well held out by Nakaze. Gladiators still at 4 players alive, but one of the final teams to be on this northern edge alongside them and NBE Sports. Mad Bulls up to 5 eliminations, Gladiators up to 8. They're doing good here. You asked about a bit of a repeat. We even heard about the dinner bell, and so far Gladiators have been hitting us with some nice mash rotators at the moment. These rotates have been clean.
Whatever they're cooking up today, Blank, it looks like it is fresh, not frozen. Nothing being reused here. Ooh, turning up the heat, though, as the kitchen metaphor continues. Have to get out of that one. Melise set ablaze, couldn't handle it. Kiss You dropped, as the M4 will give him the damage. Business being done. Mad Bulls close by as well. They can start to breach and clear. Take the players out that are inside of these buildings now, but Frozen crumbles. He cracks under the pressure on the contact. And it's all getting a little bit sheepish. Constant damage being fired out by Gladiators, sure, but no one wanting to make the first mistake. You have such a sheer number of squads all close, shoulder to shoulder inside of these compounds, with only Gladiators being able to complete the push down towards the beach side. They're in a pretty dream spot right now, and it's going to be so much harder for this heat map of teams we can see all on top of each other inside of the neighborhood. A nasty neighborhood, Blank. They're not friendly neighbors.
Not at all. Everyone's just leaving some horrid messages on one another's doors right now. People just aren't picking up the newspaper. They're turning the Amazon delivery guy away. They will not be handing that through the post box to their next door neighbor at all. But for Gladiators, what an incredible circle for them. Moves up towards this north side, and they've had direct contact with a lot of these teams on the southern edge. What's great about this rotate from Gladiators as well is that they forced out the Mad Bulls from this position just with sheer firepower. Up to 9 eliminations, set 50 points after the back of this game, just around about 18 points behind Mad Bulls, who we know had a great day yesterday. This has been very, very good stuff from the Gladiators, and again, it's that pressure off in that first game that allows you to succeed later on. They're moving in over towards NBE Sports. Sec, barely any HP. The vehicle flies over the top, and Tixie's there on a Kaze. He's quickly put down, and NBE Sports is out. Oh my goodness me, Gladiators are fighting.
What are we watching, Blank? Is this a Michael Bay movie? Because that was a blockbuster. They come flying through the air, hit the griddy on that one as the shot connects mid-movement, and then they just continue on as well. This is ridiculous. Meku and Kitsune just putting bullets down range, Blank. They are farming.
This was a great move from Meku as well, mate. They left him behind on the side swipe just in case anyone was between the trees. Likely Meku's going to be a sacrifice in this situation, but he's got great lines of sight over towards Duxan, providing very, very difficult terrain for Duxan to deal with. They step out of the way of the bullets from Kitsune as well as Tixie and Matic. They step directly into the bullets from Meku, who's very much safe on this outer edge. Luckily, Zipian is able to get some shots back over towards Kitsune, but it's just Meku and Tixie lighting them up.
They're the Hydra right now, Blank. It feels like if you sever one head, 2 more will grow back in its place. That's what Gladiators are doing right now. A single knock results in them finding 2 elims, or the elims could keep on coming as well, but maybe it'll go in favor of Mad Bulls as Alter Ego wanted to try an ego challenge, but they go down quick. They've got cinder block shoes on that one as Melise third party and Mad Bulls hold on to their compound. Gladiators, though, still showing that they're handy with the sharpened steel, slicing their way through anyone that peeks into them. Now just pushing up the road to close down these and make sure these eliminations are theirs for good, Blank.
Yeah, Tixie flies over towards that position, has the M4 in hand. Lovely nade over the top as well. Finds Hoxie. Now just Binny in the back here. Another nade flies over the top. Nice little Molotov. Will shoot underneath the vehicle. Has eyes on. Just needs to hit these shots now, but is sort of being cut off by the fire, by the smoke. Stands up to try and hit this one. The step out is there, and Tixie gets taken down. Meku left remaining for the squad, but honestly, with the amount of damage the Gladiators been able to do, they've just been looking for those eliminations. We talked about this early on as well, Jackie, in the sense that eliminations desperately what you need. This is what you can confirm in these games. This is what you know you can handle, and I appreciate that they're just fighting for them.
Exactly, it's the one part that you can control just by playing aggressive, playing confidently, and guaranteeing those eliminations. And that's what they've done. They've played for the elims here. Now they can try and see what they can squeeze out in terms of placement, because the other teams are doing the infighting for them. And it's whittled us down to only 2 players. Really, you've got to worry about. Oh man, Mad Bulls licking their lips at the prospect of this one. They do find Meku. He's exposed himself from behind the rock. Now it's simple pickings. As long as Mad Bulls could reset, you do have an edge. The battle of attrition is in your camp. They're setting themselves up for a chicken dinner, but Zerich will expire.
For Duxan, this is going to be a very, very important game for them. You know, 3 eliminations, it's not ideal. You go out this with a second place, 6 points, 9 points total. It doesn't feel great, but if you're able to get your chicken dinner off the back of this in a 2v3, you know, 13 points on this match feels really decent coming into the rest of the day. And with the blue pushing in, it is very, very ideal for them, but the Mad Bulls just look so absolutely clean today. They looked at yesterday as well, and they pick themselves up yet another chicken dinner. That is 3 in the space of 2 days.
That's huge from Mad Bulls. A complete change of pace from what we were seeing from them, looking an awful lot better. And also now, Blank, it goes back to our point about the fact that you don't want to leave it up to another team to decide your fate in the survival stage. You want to make as many points as possible in the limited number of games you have to play. And that's what Mad Bulls are doing in droves.
Yeah, it's a stressful game for Mad Bulls as well. Not an easy one. You can see that they're not super excited about this because it's more of a relief than anything they're able to pull off that chicken dinner. Playing within Lipovka, there was so much infighting in that area, getting forced out by the Gladiators. I think it was a very wise move for them to actually just send across from the rock side in the water towards those buildings. Yes, they had to fight for it versus Malise Esports, but they were confident to do that, and it sort of gave them that winning position. I think things got dicey as soon as they started to see the circle move towards the north side. Like, have we made a mistake? Did we make the right call here? But you just got to follow through. 44,000 kilometers travel for Gladiators once again. These rotates are coming through quicker. They're more confident with them. I don't know what happened between the space of yesterday and today, but there has been some serious conversations between these lads on the team.
Something's happened, you know. I don't know if it happened at the hotel breakfast or where it was, but it seems like Gladiators have got their heads screwed back on, and they're playing some really nice PUBG Mobile today, Blank. You know, this is exactly what we wanted to see in terms of them giving us a good game, showing us they deserve the invite in the first place and that they're able to make some moves here. What more will be in store for us though, and can they keep it up? We'll find out. Let's get back to the desk with the #1 Gladiators fan. It's Jason Kaplan.
Sorry, I think Jackie misspoke there. Mixspoke. That's the #1 Gladiator fan ever. But we have to say, it wouldn't be Gladiators if they didn't show up exactly when they needed to kind of advance on through in an event. And hey, you know, credit to them, another massive game for them in terms of eliminations, great positioning as well. They were able to crash in NBA Esports and kind of do the exact same thing, just the other way around from the prior match. But also Mad Bulls, man. Like, there's so many things to talk about. Oh, you know what? We're not gonna talk. No, let's do it. Maxman talked about Gladiators, and then we'll hop to what I have ready for Colaris.
Okay, Jason McSpoke. But okay, Gladiators. I didn't want to talk about them because I didn't want to curse them, Jason. Okay, that was the reason.
Oh yeah.
Now I see. Okay, but right now, Gladiators, of course, playing that high ground position, able to leapfrog in the position that Mad Bulls left open after they regrouped from that 2-2 split, was a really good spot. And also, one thing I enjoyed, Colaris, from Gladiators is they tried to go for that high ground on the road. They tried to fight and
Best. They tried to also fight Duxan, which ended up not working out. But I think that if you're not in the city, you want to avoid a lot of that fight happening in Lipovka. Going for that high ground does give you a bit of an advantage. It didn't quite work out because Duxan had such a good angle, but I think that was going to be a game-winning play if they could survive until the later stage.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, go on.
No, you go on.
I was going doolally in this game, if I'm honest, Jason. I was going crazy because how often do you see a basically close to Lipovka end like this? And for teams to try and manage their way through that, as you say, with Gladiators doing really well in terms of the eliminations and then going to the west for the rotate to try and make this work. Never mind, Mad Bull's winning off a 2-2 split across the rocks of north of Lipovka and in Lipovka. Where do you begin? There's so much to talk about.
Well, obviously the smoke wall that Maxman brought up while we saw Mad Bull's able to transition with the PO smoke wall, as he coined it, to get through safely was something to be seen. But if we're talking about how teams got into Lipovka, let's also mention Alter Ego, Kalaris.
Oh.
Do it! Come on.
What are they doing? All right.
You got really close to the mic there.
I got really close to the mic. Okay, they're the Lipovka dropping team. Where were they? Okay, they moved west, right? They got lost one to heaven as they were walking through to heaven, which is ridiculous. And then they move north, and then they have to swim all the way back to Lipovka. They are lost at present. They are taking, I said it before this game, constantly taking risks here in PUBG Mobile. They're playing a very risky style. They've got splits. They're walking where they shouldn't be, going where they shouldn't be. And eventually, yes, they salvaged this, but only because teams that had track of them swimming probably was Pasija, but they got kind of rocked up on Gladiators and kind of lost in the mix. So they were allowed to come back up on the shore of Lipovka. Am I taking crazy pills? Anyway, yeah,
lost him.
I'm done.
Well, not to mention, you also pointed out, too, when we were watching, that Gladiators was probably the only team that could see them rock up on the beach, but they were about at that 400-meter distance mark away, so potentially not seeing them. Obviously, Melise was in Lipovka, potentially not looking towards them, and we even saw Kissu like, wait, what are you guys doing in that building? How did you guys even get here?
Yeah!
He's going mad. I've never seen him like this.
Melise was like, who is he? What's going on next door? And suddenly, they were just... Anyway, I'm done.
You know what? You know what, Kalaris? You need to cool down by playing some of the Frost Festival currently going on within PUBG Mobile. You can revel in the exhilaration of gliding down the slopes in a snowboard and using snow mounts like X-Men talked about yesterday, potentially turning people into snowmen as well. Make sure you guys load up PUBG Mobile, download the new update, and participate and play. Because also while you're playing, we do have the 2023 Popularity Annual Gala happening with PUBG Mobile introducing a brand new competition, exclusive honorable rewards for you guys at home to participate and win. It's all kicking off between November 15th and December 15th, so make sure you guys are getting into the game and potentially able to win some rewards you can show off to your friends. Also, while you're playing in this one, don't forget about the Pagani collaboration happening within PUBG Mobile as well. You can rev the engine with the iconic Pagani Amola and Zonda R models, which I believe. Kalaris, are you ready to be salesman yet again? Tell us the
740 brake horsepower. You got a V12 engine as well as 710 Newton meters of torque, Jason. It's a car for you, but it's very expensive in real life.
Well, my question is, can I fit in the car? Because we all know I'm extremely tall.
Probably you cannot, actually. You're probably too tall.
Okay, well, that's a shame. Maybe we can get special order one and make one for me. And also, last but not least, before we head to a break here, the new RPA4 Victory Dance, which is available now. You guys can show off your victories with the PMGC vibe, and also use your Victory Dance to cheer for your favorite PUBG Mobile team. And we all know who people are voting for. Max is all aboard the Gladiator train, but we have to wait till that train takes off after the side of a short break. Well, Max, I know how you are the biggest fan of Gladiators, but luckily for you, we don't have to talk about them too much more because it looks like with the points they've gotten these last 2 matches alone, that should almost guarantee them a safe position into our last chance. However, it does get easier from there. Keep in mind, it's only 16 teams advancing from this into that, and it's only 5 teams advancing from the last chance to get back into the PMGC Grand Final. So a lot of work to come for the Gladiators and obviously a lot of other teams out there. But as we are about to head into our second Erangel, my question is this. Kalaris, Alter Ego, are we going to see a weird rotation again?
Maybe. I think it depends on the playing path. I think they're probably going to... If the playing path doesn't favor Lipovka, I think they're going to try and go for cars and maybe fight someone. We'll see.
Okay. Well, thank you for your contribution here, Max Ben. We're going to head to our commentators to kick off our second Arrow of the day with Jackie and Blake.
It's interesting because Max always just makes such thought-provoking points, Blank. It feels hard to kind of, even regurgitate what he said, as it's just so big-brained.
Yeah, you can't quite, grasp it a lot of times, and you do need to watch it back a few times afterwards and just really get the notes in there, understand what's going on. But I'll have to do that after the show, I think, as well, really.
Well, it was a big segment. It was a big segment.
Yeah.
We don't have time right now to... I'd have to get out the notepad.
We can't break it down.
Highlighters.
Yeah.
No, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. But obviously, Jason just said Gladiators will win, so I get where he's coming from.
Yeah. That was very clear that Jason said that Gladiators would win again. It's definitely going to be a Gladiators first place chicken dinner on this one. I think they're just playing out of their minds right now. I don't know what's gotten into them. What's quite frustrating about this, though, is that they're getting some flashbacks to last year a little bit, where they made it past the survival stage into last chance and then got pipped at the post over towards 5th place. And I don't want all the thunder to come now. I would quite like some of it to be reserved, keep a little bit of that lightning in a bottle for the last chance phase. But again, they've just started stepping up now. I don't know what I'm talking about, really. Keep going, I guess, for the time being.
I do like the idea that you've gone, okay, well, look, you're doing pretty well right now. Let's slow that down.
Slow it down.
Look, if you get too big for your boots and set the bar too high, you're not going to make it there again. And they're like, this is interesting. You are right.
The thing is, Joe, we have such an intimate relationship with this team because we commentate them all the time right over in EU. So we sort of know their tendencies. They can be a frustrating squad to watch a lot of times. But there are a lot of...
confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. There are a lot of other great teams in this lobby so far at the moment. I mean, Reject have certainly started to pump things up just a little bit. I don't think we're quite at, Reject levels of Group Green so far, but we're definitely getting there. And I mean, it all came from that simple interview that Sarah gave, which was literally the most base thing he could have done, which was, we're not going center enough. And then they went center and won a bunch of games. They're doing that again here. It seems to be working reasonably well too. So I think that they've just kind of shedded that mentality of like, it's not going too hot for us right now. Let's just go center. We'll just play our game and see what happens. And I think that's what a lot of teams are starting to do now, which is really, really good to see. You have to get out your own head here, especially if anyone who's in Group Green right now in this last chance scenario. You just have to play out these matches. I was going to touch on Alter Ego. I'm not gonna. It's tainted, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen that team do a lot better, but we'll wait. We'll wait and see.
We'll see how things lie at the end, right? Because I think we've kind of beaten the horse on that one, really, in the way the games.
They've already been beaten.
That's what I mean, but it's just not worth it. But it is a shame. I do agree with you in that sense, where it feels like, especially for sort of the storyline and the narrative as well, with like the interview we had with Rosemary way back on, I believe, day one of the entire event, and how they were looking like they were playing. I was expecting a landfall for him, Blank. I was expecting it to go well and for him to go from strength to strength. But they were definitely struggling today. What have they got up the chops? Anything hidden? Anything else? Maybe we'll see. If it's going to come out, this is probably the best time to do it, right? You're kind of leaving yourself with very limited chances. We've got 3 games, this Erangel and then 2 Miramars, and basically preceding that, that's the end for you to actually accumulate any points. You're just leaving it in the hands of other teams. So we'll find out. We'll see where we're going with it. Mad Bull's been looking a lot better though, Blank. It's been fun to watch Mad Bulls, which is nice to say. Even if they don't look exactly ecstatic every time we see him on camera. Tulicker honestly didn't look too pleased with his win, but I think that was mostly just like stress and relief of going, okay, we needed it. At least we have a win. Yeah. You know, if they can just keep that up, that's probably the ideal scenario. But they need to drop that stress. They did seem a bit on edge.
Yeah, come on. We need to get the team masseuse in, right? You know, massage those worries away. Because right now, I do think they should be a little bit more elated than they actually are. I know that sounds crazy. I have just said in a different manner, be happier, which isn't always as easy as it sounds a lot of times, as we know. And I think for Mad Bulls, realistically, they're doing really well. And I think they should be proud of themselves so far. I think they also understand that they need to keep a little bit of lightning in the bottle saved away for that last chance phase. Right now, I think they should be very pleased with where they've placed. They're currently in first. Obviously, Influence Rage still has another day to play. And I think, all things considered, by the end of it, Influence Rage will be on top in terms of the standings. But Mad Bulls certainly done more than enough to secure their position at this point. The rest of these games now, for them, it should just be study, right? Maintain this kind of play style, maintain this kind of pressure on the rest of the squads, because more than likely you are going to have to play against quite a few of these teams again in the last chance. So the more they can stake their claim on positions around the map, the more they can stake their claim on these rotations and be a team that some of these other squads may be a little bit scared to run into. You do have that small advantage in the last chance where you have that kind of don't mess with me factor.
Don't mess with me. God, it's like a late night walk home, Blank. And you're like, well, I do not want to mess with that man. I mean, that's a good vibe to give off, you know. It definitely would increase your protection a bit.
It's true, yeah. I mean, I just say it to myself as I'm walking down the street sometimes. That's how it works.
Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with me. People are like,
the idea
Daddy, that guy's talking to himself.
That's what I mean. Just muttering under your breath. Don't mess with me, mate. Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
People just walking by. Excuse me, sir. Do you need help? Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with
All
me.
right.
Yeah, it's less that I'm giving off hard man vibes and more that I'm giving off that I need to be in an asylum vibes. Which isn't ideal, but it seems to work.
Hey, look, to each their own, Blank. You know, unorthodox strategies do seem to work best. If your enemy can't prepare for it, you know, how can you? I suppose. Yeah. In some way, that's a sentence.
He's done a 720 kickflip roundhouse. Oh my lord! Let's see that coming. The standard is a 360.
Yeah, this is wild. Look at the man doing ollies in the car.
That's illegal.
Right, put the skateboards down.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
We need to get back in the game here, and some of these teams definitely need to get a rolling. Certainly towards that bottom side of the lobby, we're looking at N-Hyper, Udo Alliance. Nick Galaxy sort of are disappointing us so far, I would say. And I mean, they're on our screens right now. Regiocio will take down Lord from Nick Galaxy. And again, they keep just hemorrhaging members, I would say, on their rotates. You know what? I didn't actually get to talk about this last game, but I will talk about it now, is that some of their rotates feel extremely greedy. I think that last match, most of the teams on that south side realized that, look, if we're on the edge already, I mean, they were rotating in from, what was it, Milta. They were battling out versus Inco early on. I think in that case, you just have to slow push your way in towards the circle. You're potentially not going to get a high placing off the back of this, but they could have easily taken up where Duxan was playing. Remember, Duxan got themselves a second place. Decent, good stuff. Yet they just drove around in that one vehicle, dropped out for a second one, lost Coops in the process, kept driving around to try and find another central position. And I think at that point, you just have to realize that this is not working out. Teams aren't just going to let you free roam anymore.
No, it did feel like one of those where, you know, you're kind of thinking, you've thrown that away a little bit. You know, you did have a Well, a potential to try and see what you could actually get out of the game, whereas instead, I agree with you, the rotation was a little bit careless, and potentially even just the idea to jump out at that point. You know, you're only going to delay yourself even more in terms of like the startup time for the vehicle to actually get away, right? And it just meant they went from a 4, sure, stuck in a very small camper van to a 3, still sharing just the one small camper van. Wasn't ideal. A couple of pot shots been going out here, though. We've seen a little bit of damage coming across. Mad Balls have suffered 1 knock as well, so at least they're seeing what they can do to patch up the situation. Here's one for you as well, Blank. When we saw that first knock, it was Raging OCO in the car, and he bonneted someone. Call that Road Rage OCO.
Oh, yes. I like that. Yeah, go on. We love to see it. He was doing an ollie in the car over his head. It was good stuff. We enjoyed it. We love to see it. For Reject, not quite towards the central right now, but a single elimination, that'll do the trick. They'll be happy, pleased with that one. DXavier also pretty pleased their position up towards Severny, right? You know, they don't drop Pachinki, but they get themselves a fairly good position to work their way out from. They've got a lot of positions they're currently holding on to. Now, DXavier, typical rotational path up towards this northeast side. So for them, again, we'll be going for something like that. Gladiators are just cutting straight through them, though. A bit of a dangerous push, I would say. I mean, you still have Tixi and Matic on the backside here with Kitsune and Meku going for this scout early on. You can see them starting to get a little bit squeezed here by the hydraulic press of teams, and the rest of the squad just is nowhere near to support. This is a greedy rotate, and I think for anyone in this location, I would be trying to spot out some of these stragglers, trying to take pot shots towards them as they move through. Again, Ralph out of the vehicle, taken down by Nasa. This is very bad news bears right now for Enigma Galaxy, and I think this is something that we sort of saw over towards their group stage as well, is that at the start, doing great. You know, happy days for Enigma Galaxy. Some strong rotations were coming through for this team. However, when you looked at them further in towards the group, their rotations were getting read so easily, time and time again. I think that's the final player from Enigma Galaxy, about to go down soon, but Reject taking a lot of knocks of their own. Gladiators barely surviving themselves, good amount of damage. Meku's on the side, Swan tries to swing out, lovely nade, will take down Meku, and now it's just Matic to try and hold down the door.
Well, that's a nice trade, actually. And he's played it smart. He set himself up so that he could try and nade. I thought he was going to get the first off on the Meku with it, but instead engages towards Matic. Matic's basically as good as gone here. No HP, nothing to defend himself with. All off the back of Cluck's nades there. So nice retake on the compound. That was smart in the way he used his utility. And that's unlucky for the Gladiators. So Jason Kaplan's prediction there not coming true, Blank, because they've gone down without a single elim on that one. Got a bit too big for their boots.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But they've slowed it down, as I asked them to. Well done. You know, this is more the Gladiators we're used to. You know, going down in the first 2 stages. That's great. Brilliant. Now, do something a little bit more next game. Maybe revert back to, you know, making not the greatest rotations. To be fair, that wasn't bad by any stretch of the word. I quite liked it. Unfortunately for them, I think you make that rotation a little bit too late. You've got players that are not quite on with the vibe there in the backside with Matic and Tixi, who are not up front and personal with Kitsune and Meku. And you just get shot at by teams on the side trying to get in towards that warehouse that UDO Alliance, quite frankly, had already had a lot of control over. Could have gone a different way if Meku maybe had found that second shot, but like you said, some great nades coming out from Cluck there on UDO Alliance. In the meantime, let's have a look at where some of these other teams are playing. MBE Sports up towards that northeast side. Not a huge amount of points found, but they're consistently in the game, right? And I think that's something that's great to see so far on that side.
Yeah, they've been making a lot of cameo appearances, you know, even in situations where it's just 1 or 2 elims and they stay alive. It feels that they're always popping up to be a little bit annoying, nip at teams' heels and try and farm the odd points here and there. This is one that feels like it's just a matter of, you know, the chase at the minute. Feels like you're being forced further and further back, and Rejects know they're being hunted on this one. Trying to play with at least some map geometry to give them cover, as NASA are definitely roaming quite far out and looking to gain a good understanding of where everyone is stationed, using the reconnaissance of Xenox here with the one vehicle as a bit of a scout, and then having a backup position to fall back towards. Freak's actually still alive as well, Blank. All right, yeah, so that's just the one man that remained. I mean, his entire team basically got picked to pieces instantly. So I suppose it's best case scenario, how far can he go, right? Because looking at a placement game with this one, it's pretty early. Going to be a while on the stopwatch before we come back to that point.
Yeah, I do think it definitely comes back to that case of Enigma Galaxy. A lot of their rotations getting read into towards the end of their group and not making too many adjustments off the back of that. Again, even in their group, there was a lot of feeder teams down towards the bottom as well, which just allowed them to make these rotations. And I think you try and do the same thing again here in the survival stage, where every single team is very willing to take shots and has great gun skill. Remember, these are the best teams in the world, all fighting out for a place in the grand finals to really display what their region, what their team has to offer to everyone that wants to watch. So I think that for Enigma Galaxy, again, it's just a case you can't just randomly rotate over heals. You need to have a bit of scouting going on. You need to ensure you know exactly where some of these teams might be playing, so you can angle yourself in such a way that you can cross and be out of the line of sight of some of these squads that might take shots towards you. If we see it again on that next match from Enigma Galaxy, where they make a random rotate like that and start losing players out the back of the vehicle, I would be fairly remiss to say that this is another team that's feeling like they're going to be in the bottom 8, because I don't sense an adjustment coming through tomorrow.
No, I don't know how you'd give the whole squad a facelift in such a short space of time, right? I don't really think there is enough adjustments that could be made to really change things around quick enough. That's the problem. It feels like we're already getting to that point where, you know, the fine line, Blank, of squads that haven't already accumulated points, especially from Group Green, right? With how tomorrow is going to go, you're not even being there to make a case for yourself, just having to sit pretty and sit on your laurels of the points you've already accumulated. Definitely for a good majority of our squads now, we're seeing that they haven't been able to cut the mustard, haven't been able to really build enough points. But there's been a bit of a change positively for a few of them. At the minute, though, we'll see how things go right here, right now. We'll stick to the facts that we're being given. Again, Reject Tokyo look to try and get themselves a bit more center and try and set up early. Melissa also on the move down, but most likely have to bypass their way through DX. Roadside setup from MBEs as well, as they've got contact. Inko taking damage from quite far away. The Mini 14 pounding the pressure out and buying them enough time to go back on the res. They've got the ridge as well, so you're covered from the road. They don't have to worry about getting tapped in the head just yet, so they can get Mondo back up. But what's the game plan here? How are they going to play this one?
Yeah, I think your difficulty comes in the fact that, you know, you're getting pushed in by the blue. It's stage 4. It will hurt. You sort of need to make a move soon, but Nasa's sort of unwilling to give up this position on the eastern side. They know how important this compound is to them over towards this eastern side of the circle. They don't just want to let a team get through for free. MBE Sports, on the other hand, decide that, look, we're going to take shots over towards Inko. Becker in the way, gets absolutely crunched, but lives off the back of that. Grazed by the vehicle, but not out yet. Becker continues to take shots and will finish it there and then. Broken leg regardless.
Man, okay. Big balls are fire as damage is done onto the vehicle, and he tries to stand his ground. Becker quick on the medic maneuvers, trying to get the heal in. Meanwhile, when Lease, they're being attacked. DX have crashed onto him, but DS, they've crashed more literally just straight into the faces there, hitting the shots one by one. Melissa expiring as they've been stung by the Scorpions, it seems, Blank. Unable to defend from that one. DX can reset, pick clean the corpses on the floor now as well, and reset the utility they've got to work with, so they're going to be content. Meanwhile, back on the move, Xenox, he's been pretty damn quick with his scouting. He's been able to take some point man positions and look to get the damage out early. Again here, setting his focus towards the bridge. Wants to put pressure on Squash, who's so low outside the play zone as well. So a single bullet he was hoping for, try and make that elimination his, doesn't go his way. Backs off with at least the read and tries to play with the rest of the team. Vitali, he's got a read on him. trying to take a couple of shots off, but doesn't want to do this as a solo blank. Playing smart, knows he still has a team to work with, even if it just is the three of them.
Yeah, Blue's really being the big pressure point right now for Inco because they've got to move further in, but they know as soon as they start to head over towards the top side of this lip, they're going to be in angles of a lot of other teams that are inside the lobby. Freak here trying to hold his own up towards the Wizard Tower. You can see off towards his western side, you got Duxan as well, but Becca very happy to try and take this fight with an incredible hold versus these other squads. Freak, though, takes down Vitali, looks for another, but won't get it and will fall himself. So Enigma Galaxy come away from this game with a 1 single point up to 6 now. So a 2-point average for Enigma Galaxy so far feels pretty horrible. Quest get way further into this game than they have any others, and that's saying something considering we still have 12 teams alive. We see Procedure Evos off towards that central arena alongside with Reject and End Hyper. This could be a great game here for Evos and starting to get some of that points potential on board.
You'd like to see him have a good game as well. The talent that's there on this roster at times, man, feels so powerful. When it's a good sort of mix-up for them as well, when they come in playing off each other's comms very nicely, it's very fun to watch. So having a center position, having firearms in their hands as well, we'll see if they can bring the heat, if they can command respect the longer this one goes on. FaZe back on the move as well, looking to set themselves up as the smokes will be cast out bit by bit. Redface looking like he wants to try and at least have info on this, get the eyes on the situation. The engagement here, though, is pretty easy to clean up versus what remain of Inco. One by one, they have been broken and bruised there. So the Brazilian side removed from the situation now as they'll go out again. That's unlucky in the end there. Inco, of course, fought hard to even make it here, Blank, and they are getting a little bit bullied. Similar sort of things have been happening to Alter Ego. Again, pressure applied on them. Fnatic from the side at least assists where possible, but he's got to scurry off, got to reset on this one now.
Yeah, it's good potential here for them to hold out DXavier, right? But at the moment, it's not looking too good. Holds on the spray from quite a while, but at least does find the shots over towards Lamborghini, laying him low. Outside the circle will delay them a lot, making this very uncomfortable for the squad of DXavier to make it in. Procedure Evos taking shots over towards FaZe, who are currently huddled up over towards a very, very small shack at the moment. The shots even coming through from Spec here on Nasa. But Procedure Evos currently sat at 28 points in 11th place. Is a team that definitely needs to put some more on the board here. I think for Procedure Evos, they have a lot of history on this team, right? And I think a lot of Indonesian fans would be very excited to see this team go through to the PMGC Grand Finals, specifically just to be able to see the twins there on the grand stage once again. But 28 points, that won't cut the bacon just yet. They need a little bit more on board, and with this very central position they currently hold on to, this is a fantastic game to rack up some big elimination points, to rack up themselves a good amount of placement points too. You know, this should be a second, third, first place game guaranteed.
It needs to be. It needs to come to fruition in that manner. Setting themselves up nicely on this one. So can they coax it out? Can they force a big point scorer from this one? And what's going to happen here in the close quarters engagement with so many teams shoulder to shoulder, all pushing further down? As soon as that zone starts nipping at their heels as well, it will cause problems. Isn't much breathing room, so you've got to fight for what you want. Pushing in now on Reject, looking to try and swoop in and steal the compound from underneath them. The nade will aggress first. Julo ready with the shotty as well, firing off buckshot from the DBS. Meanwhile, the building is burning. Lufa waits up close. Ooh, didn't even see that one, Blank. Swings around the corner, hits him, takes him off his legs.
Hello.
Reginocio turns for the back door as well. Read this fight well, Blank, but he's been peeked from the window, takes half HP off him. Just waiting now on the off angle. Tries to back nade whilst his teammates are fighting tooth and nail. Nade's going down. Who else wants a piece of this fight?
What is this? There's 3 teams on the same compound. Regioso sends out the side into the vehicle to get himself some better angles. He's fighting for his life at this point in time. Spec moves in. Hoxie's half HP, and Regioso's out on the edge. Surely he spots Junie, but he doesn't inside the smoke. And now Duckshan have another battle to get through. Need to get more players back up on their feet, but they're falling so quickly. Just Hoxie and Junie left alive. Junie, a veteran of these high-scale tournaments,